Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto becomes strongest man in Highschool DxD part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. The underworld, a realm beneath the earth's plane. It is a vast world, much like Earth, but devoid of any large bodies of water. The sky in the underworld is a deep shade of purple which has not changed since the world was created. The land of the underworld comprises of expansive lush green forests, great mountain ranges that rise to the sky, empty fields that stretch beyond what the eye can see, and densely populated cities which dot the landscape. The residents of the underworld are known as devils. They are a race of supernatural beings capable of feats beyond what humans can do, who they resemble in appearance save for their bat-like wings which can be hidden, and their extremely long lifespans. They possess enhanced strength, durability, speed, along with the ability to fly and control over various forms of magic. The devils are a part of the biblical trinity, alongside angels and fallen angels. Angels are beings of light created by God of the Bible. They resemble human beings in appearance, like their natural enemies the devils, and possess white feathered wings. They are masters at using light and holy energy and weapons. Angels spread God's blessings and protect humanity from other supernatural beings. Fallen angels, simply fallen for short, are angels who lost God's favor and as a result they were banished from heaven. They are like angels, only their light is tainted and their wings are jet black. Their moral compass is also looser than their white-winged counterparts. The three biblical factions waged a three-way war against each other that lasted for hundreds of years and came to be known as the Great War. The angels fought the devils as they were natural enemies and fought the fallen because they went against their creator. The devils fought the angels for the same reason the angels fought them, and they fought the fallen because they were encroaching their territory. The fallen angels fought their previous comrades for revenge, and the devils to take their lands for themselves. The devils were led by the four Mau: Lucifer, Beelzebub, Leviathan and Asmodeus, and the 72 pillars, the great devil families. The angels were led by God and the seraphim, high-ranking angels with 6 pairs of wings. The fallen angels were led by Grigori, an organization formed by the fallen angel leader Azazel. The war was brutal. Legions of angels descended from heaven and rained light down upon their enemies. In response, the devil armies rose from the underworld and intercepted the angels' attacks with their powerful magic spells. In the midst of this, the fallen angels used hit-and-run tactics and applied underhanded methods to strike at other two sides because of their lower numbers. The bloody conflict went on for centuries until all three sides were exhausted. The three factions had all lost a bulk of their forces and weary of the fighting. The combatants began to withdraw from the battlefield and eventually hostilities were dropped and an uneasy ceasefire was formed. This was the end of the Great War, but not the end of the conflict for the devils. Lucifer and the other Mau were warmongers. They wished to take advantage of the weakness of the other two factions and destroy them for good, despite being greatly weakened themselves. Many devils supported their leaders, but a good portion also opposed them. Devilkind was split into two. The pillars had already lost most of their members and were further divided. 34 of the pillar houses and their followers formed the anti-Mau faction and opposed the Mau and the devils that supported them. Civil war erupted in the underworld and the two sides fought for control over the realm. The civil war, while not on the scale of the Great War, had a great impact on the devils and their way of life. The war tested loyalties and friendships. It tore old families and formed new ones. Their methods of fighting were also revamped as devils came up with new ways to kill their brethren. The war came to an end when the Mau were slain and the reigning leadership collapsed. The anti-Mau faction eliminated and drove off the remaining packets of opposition and brought an end to the fighting. The new government was sworn in, led by the new Mau who were the heroes of the Great War and the Civil War, having slew the original Mau. Surzich's Grimory became Lucifer, Ajuka Astaroth became Beelzebub, Seraphol Citri became Leviathan, and Falbium Glaciolabolas became Asmodeus. The four of them discarded their family names and took up their titles. They were the new leaders of the underworld and together they ushered in a new era, one of rapid development and prosperity. Ajuka, best friend of Surzich's, was an inventor. His inventions had greatly strengthened the anti-Mau faction during the war. The devil population was greatly reduced after fighting 2 wars. The pillars were reduced to 34, the rest having sided with the Mau, and were consequently killed or driven off to the far reaches of the underworld, and rest of the population was a fraction of what it used to be. To rectify this issue, Ajuka devised the evil piece system. Evil pieces were items that could convert beings from other races and turn them into devils. They were produced in sets with each set being modeled after a chess set, pieces from the human game of chess. There were 8 pawns, a pair of knights, bishops and rooks worth 3 pawns for the knights and bishops, and 5 pawns for the rook. Then there was the queen which was worth 9 pawns and finally the king. The king piece was given to a devil who would then be the literal king of their peerage. It formed a link with the other pieces and gave the king control over their peerage members should they wish to exert it. The knight piece raised its holder's speed, the bishop raised their magical ability, and the rook raised their strength and durability. The queen piece raised all of these and was therefore classified as the strongest. The pawn piece gave a very minute boost to its holder's parameters, but its main strength lay in promotion, an ability of a pawn. Promotion allowed a pawn to emulate any of the other pieces as long as their body could handle it. The evil pieces system also came with a new form of combat known as raiding games. In raiding games, devils could compete along with their peerages to settle disputes, as well as provide a source of entertainment for the residents of the underworld. The Juka's system was met with favorable approval by his fellow devils, and it became an instant hit. As a means of regulating their distribution, evil pieces were only given to high-class devils and above. Soon devils began forming their peerages and their population began to rise. He was made chief advisor of the technology department due to his intelligence. Seraphol was in charge of foreign affairs. Before the Civil War, the underworld was closed off from the rest of the world and the devils were an isolated race. In fact, the first time they left the underworld was during the Great War. Seraphol went on numerous dignitary visits and worked hard to secure alliances and trade agreements with various factions and races. As a result, many new modern cultures were introduced to and adopted by the devils, along with new goods and technology. Her cheerful deposition also raised her popularity and helped in negotiations because people found it hard to say no to her. Albion was in charge of the military. It was a post that suited his lazy nature perfectly. After the Civil War, the devils lived in relative peace, so all Falbium had to do was devise training exercises and a criteria for the appointment of new troops and let his generals do the rest. Serziches was leader of all the devils. He was the strongest, with the only one coming close to him being a Juka who had yet to defeat him. He was in charge of taking care of every devil and managing the underworld, a task he took very seriously lest he anger his wife. He was laid back most of the time but could become serious when the situation called for it. His marriage to Graphia Lucifuge was also an important event in devil history. She was previously a member of House Lucifuge, one of the pillars that sided with the original Mau, who had defected to the anti-Mau faction during the war. She had fought side by side with Serziches through most of it, and the two had become romantically involved at some point. They got married soon after the war and became the greatest power couple in the underworld. Collectively, the Mau also served another purposes. With two large-scale conflicts which led to an untold number of deaths and financial loss, the devils had become one of the weakest factions in not only the biblical trinity but also the world. Any major power could have easily invaded and taken over the underworld. The Mau acted as deterrents for would-be invaders. Having slew the original Mau, they were regarded as more powerful than them and made the other factions weary of them. The four Mau were the pride of their families, and together they drove the underworld to an age where there was peace and prosperity and everyone was happy. All except the heir of Clan Gremory, Naruto Gremory. He was born during the Civil War, a time when conflict was rampant among devilkind. His family was happy at his birth, but that happiness soon turned to despair over a single fact: Naruto was weak. All devils gave off an aura of demonic power at birth, which allowed their parents to measure their potential. Naruto, heir to one of the pillars, was born with the lowest potential in history. He was born without any demonic power. No one could detect a smidgen of it on his person to the point that one would think he was a human, except he wasn't. Naruto Gremory was a pure-blood devil without any demonic power. His parents and older brother had returned to the front lines soon after his birth, leaving him in the care of the family servants. Devils were, at their core, beings who respected those with power and spat upon the weak. Naruto's upbringing was harsh as his caretakers saw no need to care for someone who wouldn't amount to anything in their society. They were disappointed and disgusted with the younger brother of Serziches and more often than not thought about ending his life to remove the stain on the Gremory family's history, but stayed their hand because they were ordered to raise him. And raise him they did. They taught him household chores and made him work along with everyone else. Many often delegated their tasks to him and increased his, already immense, workload. He was punished when he made a mistake and was constantly berated at every turn. But he bore through it. He took every chore, insult and punishment with a smile on his face, hoping to one day gain his family's approval. He had seen them around the manor, but none of them spared him a glance. He believed that by working harder, his family would one day notice him, a belief the other servants encouraged in order to dump more of their work on him. Even after the war, none of his family gave him the time of the day. Serziches was busy with his duties as Lucifer, and Lord and Lady Gremory were busy managing the needs and finances of their house. Even when they were free and together along with Serzich's wife Graphia, they overlooked him and thought of him nothing more than a servant, not a son and member of their family. But each day the mistreatment from the servants and neglect by his family kept adding up until he couldn't take it anymore and left. Naruto Gremory ran away from home without being spoken to even once by any member of his family. Mother, father, I'm home. Surzich's Lucifer exclaimed jovially as he entered his childhood home. He was a tall, handsome man with shoulder-length crimson hair which also framed his face and bright blue-green eyes. He was being trailed dutifully by his wife and Queen Graphia Lucifuge, a beautiful woman with silver hair and eyes. She was a powerful woman and had earned the title of strongest queen. Surzich's, Graphia, it's good to see the two of you. How are you? Venelana Gremory said by way of greeting. She was a beautiful, light brown-haired woman with violet eyes. Her birth family was the House Baal, one of the remaining pillars, who were known for being able to use the power of destruction, an ability she and her son had inherited. She was the wife of Zeodicus Gremory and was known as the Brunette Madam of Extinction, Brunette Ruined Princess in her younger days, due to her habit of completely annihilating her enemies till not a trace of them was left using her abilities. Mother. Surzich's bound over to the woman who gave birth to him and gave her a big hug which she happily returned. He had been away from the underworld for a few years on a handful of diplomacy missions that he personally undertook to raise the underworld's overall standing. It was an important task that was vital for regaining their former power. As a result, he had been out of touch with his parents for quite a few years and had become quite homesick. Venelana too was very glad to see her son again. The past few years had been the longest he had been away from her and she had become quite depressed as years without a single message from her son had passed by. She only got by with the love and support of her husband, who was also feeling the effects of their son's absence but held off his own sorrow to take care of his wife. I missed you so much, she muttered while embracing her son. Me too, Surzicha said quietly. Graphia watched a heartwarming exchange between mother and son with a smile on her face. To her it was a testament to the strong bond between her husband and mother-in-law, a bond she too wished to have one day when she had children of her own. In her eyes, Venelana was the perfect example of good parenting. She had raised her son to become the man he is today, Lucifer, the leader of all the devils. After parting from her son, the Gremory matriarch turned to her daughter-in-law and embraced her as well, much to the younger woman's surprise. Thank you for taking care of my son, she whispered into Graphia's ear, who in return said, no thanks are needed for something I enjoy doing. Venelana beamed at her and led her and Surzich's to the family lounge, where her husband Zeodicus was going over some of the new laws that were passed by the parliament. Zeodicus Gremory was a handsome middle-aged man with crimson hair that framed his face and was tied in a loose ponytail. He had a pair of light blue eyes, and finishing off his appearance was a small stubble. He looked up to see his wife enter the room and smiled widely when he saw who was following her. Surzich's? He exclaimed happily as he got up to greet his son. The two men met in a brief hug and sat down, but not before the head of the house Gremory greeted Graphia with the same vigor while greeting Surzich's. The Gremory family were seated around a coffee table talking about various subjects ranging from Surzich's mission to the new bakery that had opened in Lilith's Diamond Avenue. Venelana smiled at the scene. The conflict with the angels and fallen angels had come to a halt, the militaristic rule of the original Mau was over, Devilkind was slowly regaining its strength and would reach greater heights than before, and her family was safe and together. Everything was perfect, but she couldn't help but feel something was amiss. There was something wrong with the picture before her, and her heart, for some reason, ached at the thought. She could feel it. Her instincts screamed that she had forgotten something. Her motherly instincts reared their head as they thrashed about with her, trying to remember what she had forgotten. The other three in the room had stopped speaking once they noticed her silence and the conflicted expression on her face and were by her side in an instant, looking at her worriedly and trying to snap her out of the trance she had fallen into. Not that she noticed. She was so lost in thought that her mind failed to register anything around her, focusing all of its energies on finding the missing piece. Her frustration was increasing at the lack of results, and she internally cursed herself for getting caught in such an emotional and mental turmoil on the day her son returned, something which she, as a mother, had been looking forward to more than anything else, so that their family could be together once more. Son, mother, family, it hit her like a ton of bricks, and she let out a despaired cry, alarming the others, when she finally remembered. Memories of long ago assaulted her mind as various images of a beautiful newborn baby with crimson hair and bright blue eyes rushed to the forefront. She was inside her room, her family and trusted servants around her, as she gently cradled the baby in her arms. Her husband and son were cooing at it, and she was beaming at the way it latched onto their fingers with its tiny hands, its eyes looking at the three of them with curiosity, its face set in a toothless smile. It was her son. Her second child. And Naruto, she choked out in an inaudible tone. What is it, dear? Zeodicus asked softly as he held his wife's shaking body, carefully wiping away the tears that were freely falling down her face. He had seen her lips move to say something, but could not hear what was said. Naruto, where's Naruto? Venelana asked while breathing heavily. Naruto? Zeodicus wasn't sure why his wife said that. Naruto was a word he picked up when he was in the human world, a nation called Japan which meant maelstrom, but why would his wife say that? Sure, he liked the word, he even wanted to use it as a name, should he have another son. He paled and immediately understood why his wife was so distressed. He did not want to name his second son Naruto, he had already named his second son Naruto, a turbulent whirlpool that would either attract or destroy all those caught within it. He remembered taking a small bundle from Venelana's arms and gazing at the small face that was peering out of it. Devils had a low birth rate, some couples couldn't conceive even after centuries of trying, so children were a precious gift. So why was it that despite being one of the few lucky ones to have more than a single child, he couldn't recall anything about his second son beyond the time of his birth? "I don't know," he muttered while looking off into the distance, reliving the memory of his second son's birth over and over again. Then Alana sobbed harder as she felt her heart get torn into pieces. She was a terrible mother, after all. What kind of mother forgot she had another child? Ignored his existence to the point that she had no memories of him growing up? Grafia looked on in confusion and worry. They were having a nice, relaxing evening when suddenly her mother-in-law gradually broke down and started crying, with her father-in-law following suit soon after. It was alarming to see the ever-prim and proper Lord and Lady Gremory in this state, which progressively got worse. On top of that, they kept saying Naruto. What was Naruto? Was it a person? If so, then who were they? They were obviously someone important, enough to make the elder Gremorys have an emotional breakdown at their absence, but what exactly was their relation to the Gremory family, and where were they now? She looked towards her king and husband for an explanation, but froze upon seeing the expression on his face. In all her years of knowing Surziches, she had come to see him as a carefree person who had many bouts of idiocy but could also become frightening when angered. But the hollow expression filled with anguish was a first even for her. She had never seen him this down, and to see him as broken as he was now was unnerving. "Surziches, follow me." That was all the Mau Lucifer said as he got up and left the room. Grafia hastily followed after one last look at the Gremory couple. She quickly caught up with her husband and noticed his previous expression was replaced by a blank one. No emotion was shown on his face, and that worried her beyond anything else she had seen today. She had only seen that look once, when he faced off against the original Lucifer, and at that time the entirety of Lucifer Castle and the surrounding lands had been obliterated by the power of destruction. She and the rest of their allies barely escaped from the carnage with their lives intact. To see the exact same look once more sent cold shivers down her spine, ironic considering her powers. She felt him flare a little of his energy in a certain pattern. It was a signal used by the Gremory family to gather all of their servants in the courtyard of the manor for important announcements and the like. She was curious as to why he used it but said nothing and instead followed dutifully behind him. Right now she was not his wife but rather Grafia Lucifuge, queen of Mau Surziches Lucifer. She could ponder over what was going through his head later, but right now her only task was to follow his lead. Surzich's mind was a mess as he walked towards the courtyard. He had just finished summoning all of the servants that worked at the manor and the grounds that surrounded it. The day started off great. He had returned to the underworld with his beautiful wife Grafia after spending many years away on a series of diplomatic missions. They had come straight to Gremory Manor to visit his parents, and the four of them were having a wonderful time just sitting down and talking about anything that came to mind. It was a perfect picture, one shattered by the mention of the name Naruto. He had seen his mother get progressively distressed but was clueless as to what was making her like that. The whole family had converged around her and his father was trying to get her to speak up, to tell them what was wrong. He didn't think there was anything in the world that could make his mother become so pale and worried, and a small part of him wondered whether she was needlessly inflating a minor problem into something much, much bigger than it actually was. She had done so a few times before, and his father had jokingly said she should become a stage actress whose role was to be a drama queen. His mother had slept alone for a year and barred his father entry to their room. When his mother mentioned the name Naruto, did he truly understand the gravity of the issue and blanched when he realized the implications of it. He felt killing himself then and there as soon as he remembered what the name Naruto meant for him and his family. Naruto was his parents' second son and child, a rarity in the underworld for a single couple. More than that, Naruto was his baby brother. Being an only child for many centuries made him long for a younger sibling, someone he could play, tease, mess around and share secrets with to his heart's content. When his parents had told him they were expecting another child, he was overjoyed and had begun writing up a list of all the things he would do with his sibling, with 2 categories, for a brother and sister each. His happiness was infectious, and even the servants had begun planning for the arrival of a new young master, the old one having long since grown up. The day of his brother's birth was one of the happiest ones in his life. He could now clearly remember beaming down a crimson-haired baby wrapped in a bundle. He had reached out with his hand to touch the baby and laughed heartily when a tiny hand latched onto his. He had briefly wondered how his brother was able to do something like that. Babies were not so aware of their surroundings at birth, but chalked it up to his new brother being special. His happiness was short-lived, however, when they discovered they couldn't detect any demonic energy coming from Naruto. It wasn't the case of there being so little energy that it couldn't be sensed. His father was a renowned wizard-type devil, so demonic energy, no matter how small, would never get unnoticed by him, rather he had no demonic energy at all. Zero. And that was a huge problem for him. All devils, when born, gave off demonic energy. This was a commonly known fact. One's potential could be gauged by the quantity and potency of the energy. The fact that Naruto had no energy could mean many things, but chief among them was that he had no potential as a devil and would, at best, be slightly stronger than the average human. This was unacceptable. Another commonly known act about devils was that they respected power. Even those who didn't show it respected powerful beings instinctively. Naruto, at the time of his birth, was the heir apparent of House Gremory and a pureblood devil, one of few they had left. Someone like him, who was born in the upper echelons of devil society, would be treated lower than dirt by most devils because of his lack of demonic energy. He would barred from every tradition a devil took part in as he grew, blocked at many turns in the future as an adult, and constantly berated wherever he went. Their parents and he would never do something like that, but there was no way for them to control the masses. Another downside of not having any demonic energy was that he could not fight. This was a major issue, especially during the Civil War. The Mau faction would see Naruto as an easy target and attempt to kill his brother to hurt him, one of the leaders of the rebels. Even the anti-Mau faction, his allies and comrades, wouldn't take kindly to Naruto's birth. They would see him as a liability during a time where every able-bodied person was needed to fight. Having someone guarding Naruto would have been an inconvenience for them. It was because of this they told no one about Naruto's birth. His mother had even hidden her pregnancy as to not alert the Mau faction about her weakness and left him in the care of the servants of the House of Gremory. While they weren't fighters, the servants would be enough to hold off any threat and buy enough time for someone from the anti-Mau faction to reach the manor in case of an attack by the Mau faction. There was also the fact that members of the Gremory family had treated their servants with great respect and kindness for centuries, so they were certain they would take good care of Naruto when they left the manor a few hours after his birth to rejoin the fighting, which had escalated in intensity. The war continued on for a few years, and during that time neither he nor his parents had time for anything but the war. They hadn't visited the Gremory Manor and instead spent most of their time fighting on the battlefield or recovering at various base camps. When the war was over, he was made Lucifer and was sworn in as the new leader of the underworld. His workload was dramatically increased and his schedule did not allow time for any breaks. Thankfully he had Grafia by his side to ease his burdens, or else he would have snapped under the pressure of fixing the damage done by the war, taking care of the populace, and dealing with external threats who sought to take advantage of their weakened state. His parents too become caught up in managing the various properties under them which had been neglected for so long. All of them got so involved and caught up in their duties that any thoughts they might have had regarding the youngest Gremory simply slipped from their minds. It was this act that caused him to feel an endless amount of shame and self-loathing. How could he forget about Naruto? Sure, he was busy, but couldn't he spare a bit of his time for him? What about when he took time off from his duties and visited his parents? He didn't so much as ask about, much less see, his younger sibling. And why was that? Because he fucking forgot he had one. He was scum, no worse than scum. They called him Lucifer, the strongest devil in the underworld, one of the top 10 beings in the world, savior and pride of devilkind, and the one devil everyone in the underworld looked up to. He felt bile rise up in his throat while thinking about his numerous idols. He was undeserving of them. He was a great leader, anyone who knew him could say so with confidence, but was he a great person? Apparently not, if the way he simply forgot about his kin was any indication. He wanted to be angry at his parents. Their reactions to Naruto's name was more than enough proof that they too forgot about him, but he'd be a hypocrite for doing so. His mind may be a mess, but it was dead set on one goal. To see Naruto. He wanted to see his brother, to take in his appearance and hear his voice. He couldn't fathom Naruto's reaction upon seeing him. Would he be happy to see him? He didn't think so. If anything, his brother would be angry at him and their parents, an anger well justified. He would make it up to him though. Even if it took centuries, he would earn his brother's forgiveness and start anew, but none of that could happen until he met him. If Naruto had demonic energy, he could have simply spread his senses and search for it, but he couldn't do that because his brother possessed none of the energy that devils used. Which meant he had to physically look for him, but the manor was large and his brother could be anywhere in it, so it would take a long time to find him, something he didn't have the patience for. Which is why he was gathering the family's servants to ask them the whereabouts of his brother. They were the ones who were tasked with raising him so they would know where he was. The courtyard of the Gremory Manor was a large open area with a stone path running through the center and beautiful gardens on either side of it. There was a circular platform directly in the middle, and it was here that the servants of the Gremory family were gathered. There were around 40 servants of various ages ranging from teenagers to adults. Despite looking around the same age, many of them had served a family for centuries, and none of them was relatively new. All of them had been hired or taken in before the Civil War, so they had the family's confidence due to years of loyal service. The servants were currently standing on the platform in confusion. They had been summoned by their master. Well, this was nothing out of the ordinary. The fact that Serziches was the one who put forth the summons came as a surprise to them. Serziches never summoned them like this, not even when he was still the Gremory heir. Their confusion turned into trepidation and fear when they saw Serziches walking down the path to the platform with a blank expression on his face. It was not the expression itself which made them afraid but rather the crushing weight of his presence when he wore it. It was like having an entire mountain placed on your head while being held up, knees unable to buckle to bring it down to flatten you and end the pain. They were rooted in their places, and no matter how much they wished to get away from the Mao, they were unable to do so for their minds, could not focus on anything but the Mao. Serziches saw the effect of his power over the servants and reeled it in, causing the servants to breathe in a sigh of relief, but still be on guard when they saw him frowning. He had not only reeled in his power, but also put a tighter lid on his emotions, turning his blank face to a frowning one. He wanted to know where his brother was, so having the servants too afraid to make a single movement would be counterproductive. Wanting to know his brother's location fast and let the servants return to their duties, he said, "I have called you all today to ask a single question, one that I want answered. Where is my brother?" He felt Grafia stiffen behind and stare at him intensely. He inwardly sighed at having to explain everything to his wife later and was slightly hesitant over her reaction. She would no doubt be angry with him and might even punish him like she does when he would try to slack off from his duties as a Mao. It was a scary thought, but he could focus on that matter later after having seen his brother. The servants took a few moments to comprehend his question, but when they did his frown grew and a hint of worry seeped into his eyes. Many of the younger servants had become pale and the older ones were sweating slightly. The only one who remained fully composed was the head butler Irvin, but he could see the apprehension in the man's eyes. All of them were reactions that spoke of something being wrong. "Well," he pressed on, "where is he?" "What do you mean, Serziches-sama?" Irvin asked. "You know very well what I mean. Where is Naruto?" "I'm afraid I do not know who you are speaking of, sir. I do not know anyone named Naruto." The old butler was lying through his teeth, he could tell. He sounded very convincing, and Serziches would have bought it when he was younger, but having fought in 2 major wars and dealt with various politicians during his reign as Mao allowed him to see through all sorts of deceit. Add in the fact that he clearly remembered having a brother named Naruto and Irvin being there when he was born, made it obvious that the head butler was lying. "Do not lie to me, Irvin. Where is Naruto?" "Like I said, sir, I do not know anyone named Naruto. Though there was a useless piece of trash here a few years ago that was a shame upon the Gremory name. We called him Failure." The head butler's face took on an ugly look and he met Serziches' furious gaze with one of his own. "Explain yourself," Serziches said through gritted teeth. A dangerous aura began to envelop him which sent most of the servants scampering backwards. They would have run away as well had Grafia not frozen their feet when they reached the edge of the platform. Irvin, though, stayed where he was and was undeterred by Serziches' intimidation. "Honestly, sir, what would you gain by inquiring about that which besmirched the Gremory name?" The boy was an ungrateful waste of breathing room. "Failure. Don't call my brother that. Bloody may have been, but a failure is a failure nonetheless. Nothing will change that. He should have been happy to serve his betters, but that wasn't enough for him, was it? He bit the hand that fed him, disregarded everything we did for him and ran away. For that I apologize, I should have trained him better." Serziches was seeing red at this point and it took every bit of willpower he could muster to not destroy Irvin where he stood. He needed information and Irvin was his best source. He'd stay his hand for now. Idly he noticed his parents approach but paid them no mind. He was too busy dealing with the vermin in front of him. "What did you do to him?" he whispered in a deadly tone that sent shivers down the spines of all those who heard it. "I'm afraid that has nothing to do with the current discussion. Your inquiry was where is the failure, not the kindness we showered upon him." Serziches had to hand it to the man for not backing down in face of his oppressive aura and still having the gall to talk to him that way. It spoke of some serious courage, not that it would help him here of course. Irvin was a dead man. All that was left was to squeeze as much information out of him as possible before ending him. His eyes flashed red and his voice became laced with demonic energy as he said, "Speak." It was an ability he developed while interrogating members of the Mao faction during the Civil War. By concentrating his demonic energy in his mouth, he could place a compulsion spell on his words, which would make whomever the compulsion was directed to obey his order without question. It had its weaknesses though, the foremost being that those with a large amount of demonic energy and a strong will could resist. He hadn't used the ability on anyone from another faction yet, but he was sure the same applied to them as well. Fortunately, Irvin had a below-average amount of demonic energy, and while his will was strong, it was not enough to help him resist the effects of the compulsion causing him to speak. And speak he did. Irvin told him all about how he and the other servants despised Naruto. They were angry that someone weaker than them was at a higher position on the social ladder and did everything they could to make his life miserable. They made him into a servant and gave him more duties and tasks than any other servant in the history of the Gremory family. They constantly insulted him and deliberately sabotaged him while he worked to berate him some more. Whenever Naruto made a mistake, he was punished severely. It was mostly nightmares through magic and weeks without food, but they would sometimes become very torturous and give him lashes. When asked why neither he nor his parents noticed any of this, he responded by saying he camouflaged Naruto's appearance using illusions and used a spell that would make him unnoticeable to the Gremory family unless they were actively seeking him out. Surziches flashed with pain upon hearing with this, but before his self-loathing could return with a vengeance, Irvin said something that sent all self-deprecating thoughts out of his head and replaced them with a raging inferno of hatred. Irvin revealed that Naruto was made aware of his relation to the Gremory family from the start to make his life even more miserable. He was told his family abandoned him because he was a failure and that he could earn his family's approval by working hard, making him happily take up the excessive task they gave him and suffer through his punishments while thinking his family threw him away and cursed him with his current life. He finished by saying that Naruto originally bore through the work and punishments with a smile, but he was broken soon enough and he eventually had enough and ran away. This was 10 years ago. When Irvin finished speaking, Surziches couldn't take it anymore and sent a blast of his power of destruction at the man who was hit simultaneously by not one but two blasts of the same type. He whirled around to see his mother, hand outstretched and more fury than he had ever seen etched on her face. Before he, or anyone for that matter, could say anything to her, she directed her hand at the group of servants frozen at their legs and sent a volley of her destructive energy at them, destroying them and leaving no traces of them ever being there. After that, she collapsed in her husband's arms and began sobbing uncontrollably. His father had also reached the end of his restraint and let his own tears fall as well. He himself sat down on the ground, contemplating everything he had learned, while Grafia wrapped her arms around him and comforted him with her close proximity. He would have thanked her had he not been too busy holding back his wails of sorrow, while twin rivers of tears flowed down his face. On that day, for the residents of the underworld, all of the servants at Gremory Manor had mysteriously disappeared. An investigation, headed by Mao Lucifer, was carried out, but it quickly ran into a dead end and was subsequently called off. Grafia Lucifuge, at her own behest, was sworn in as the new head maid of House Gremory and was in charge of taking care of the manor and finding and training new servants, with the blessings of her husband and in-laws. The Gremorys became more closed off and their love for their servants, sans Grafia, that they were famous for, had diminished greatly. 10 years ago, Forest at the outskirts of Gremory territory, he had done it. He was finally away from that wretched place. For years he had suffered at hands of those people while being shunned by his family. He hated them, all of them. He wanted nothing more than to punish them like they punished him. But he couldn't do that. He was weak, that much was sure. Sure, he might be able to take on the other servants with the unique skills he had developed, but his family was full of monsters, one of the other servants had told him. They could destroy mountains, and someone like him would even last a second against them. Which is why he was content with simply getting as far away from that place as possible and living his life the way he wanted to. He was finally free and could go wherever he wanted, but where do I go? He knew nothing of the world beyond the manor grounds and the snippets he had heard from the other servants. He was effectively lost and he couldn't help but run his hands through his crimson hair. He wasn't sure why, but it constantly shifted from red to brown to red again and so on, but thankfully it had stayed red since leaving the manor. He heard footsteps behind him and he hastily whirled around to see what it was. He was afraid it might be one of the servants who had come to take him back, but his fear was unfounded when he saw what, or rather who was standing behind him. It was a little girl with black hair and pointed ears. She was wearing what seemed to be black dress shirt without the front part and white trousers. There were straps of cloth covering her front body, but despite that it was still mostly bare. Her eyes were gray and they were currently dull, showing no emotion like the rest of her face. He didn't know who she was but could tell she was powerful. He could feel it. But even then she didn't seem or feel threatening. "Hello," he said while waving at her. He didn't know her, but maybe she could tell him where he was and where should he go. She tilted her head slightly as she looked at him, dull gray eyes staring into bright blue. His eyes had dulled over the years and had just recently regained their former shine. She lifted up her hand and also waved at him and he smiled, thinking that meant he could talk to her, but before he could take a step towards her a purple glow appeared underneath him. He looked down, see a dark opening, and his eyes widened as he fell through it. He landed on his back as soon as he fell through the weird opening and his eyes widened further when he saw his surroundings. The first thing he noticed was the sky. It had been purple for as long he could remember, but now it was suddenly blue. He then took note of the ground underneath him. It was soft and yellow. It wasn't like anything he had ever seen before, and when he touched it, it felt like touching salt. Another major feature was the large pool of water nearby. It was full of water for as far as his eyes could see. He was standing in a forest before, and now he was in some strange place after seeing that little girl. He had a hunch she had something to do with this. It was a gut feeling. Finding himself in a new location, still as lost and clueless as he was before, all Naruto could say was, "Where am I, Databeo? I don't know how long it's been since I fell to this weird place." The sky's blue with fluffy white stuff floating in it. There's a gigantic pool of water that stretches far beyond what I can see. The ground soft and hard at the same time, not to mention whitish yellow, and further back there are trees that are greener than anything I've seen. It's so colorful, not like anything I've seen in the underworld, though I've never really gone beyond the manor grounds before I escaped, so I can't be sure whether a place like this exists in the underworld or not. Despite looking good, there's one huge problem about this place: the ball of light in the sky. Whenever it's out, the sky and water are blue, and everything's bright, but I feel really weak, so much that I can't even move properly. I overheard that the holy energy angels use has the same effect on devils. Is that it? Is the ball of light in the sky something angels made to weaken devils? Thankfully, it disappears after a certain amount of time, and everything becomes dark. Small dots appear in the black sky along with some kind of white orb. The thing about the orb is that it continuously changes. It grows from small to big, disappears and then reappears and grows again. Another thing is that during this time, when the ball of light isn't in the sky, I feel stronger and have more energy like when I was in the underworld. Aside from the sky, the rest of the place is weird as well. The water's salty, the food I find in the forest looks and tastes different from what you can find in the underworld. The insects are also different, though just as annoying as before, and there are creatures I've never seen before everywhere. Even though this place is different from what I'm used to, I like it here way more than the underworld. There's no family that ignores me and no servants that make my life hard and punish me for every little thing. No, I shouldn't think about that. Thinking about it will only bring up bad memories. Instead, I'll try to make the best of the situation I'm in. I already made a shelter of sticks and giant leaves and learned how to start up a fire using wood. I can find strange fruit in the forest for food, though sometimes I kill one of the creatures or animals for meat which I cook on the fire. I already know how to skin animals from the underworld, so all I needed was a sharp tool. I found a knife while exploring the forest one day and used that. All in all, life was pretty good. What the hell? Gabriel was not having a good day. In fact, none of her days since the start of the Great War were good in any sense of the word. The Great War fought between the biblical factions was the toughest time of her long life. Not only did she have to fight her former brothers and sisters who fell, she also lost her father, God of the Bible. So devastated was she by his passing that she didn't even attend the signing of the peace treaty between the three factions after the Devil's Civil War because she was still grieving the loss of her father, some tens of years after the conclusion of the Great War. She heaved a sigh as she moved a few stray strands of her golden blonde hair off her eyes. Her body was exhausted from all the traveling she was constantly doing between heaven and the Vatican. After God's death, her brother Michiel had taken control over heaven's workings. He was the current senior-most archangel as well as the strongest, but even he could not effectively handle the great task of running heaven and providing for and protecting the humans on Earth. Heaven had been severely weakened, and if any of the other factions caught wind of this, then they would not hesitate to strike the angels down while they were still weak and expand their influence in the human world. To create an image of power and deter the other factions, Gabriel was made the sole envoy for all direct communications between heaven and the human world. Before the Great War, her primary role had been that of a messenger. Michiel turned this into her sole duty. By frequently visiting the human world, she assured the Christians that heaven was still strong and strengthened their belief. Her visits also served a secondary purpose of looking out for any supernatural activity that threatened Christianity and humans and drive off any would-be invaders. As an archangel and seraph, she was effectively heaven's second in command after Michiel and her power rivaled deities of some pantheons. She carried out her duty with utmost diligence, but sometimes it wore her down like now. It was very tiring this time. The Pope refused to listen to reason. Honestly, repairing Excalibur. We no longer have the means to do so. The best we can do is make new swords out of the leftover fragments. She laid down on her bed to rest her tired body. She had to report to Michiel later, but for now, she was going to enjoy a well-earned break. Her eyes snapped open upon hearing the loud shout. To her, it sounded like someone saying her glorious father's name, but the manner in which was said was baffling. People do not get hurt by speaking his name. Prayer hurts devils, but the name harms no one. And why did she even hear it? All prayers went to Michiel now. Is heaven's system acting up again? Brother sure does have a hard time managing it. This is no time for rest then. I must go and assist him in any way I can. Poor Gabriel never got a rest and won't get it for some time to come. For some reason, every time I say the word God, whether through my mouth or in my head, I get a massive headache and my whole body hurts. I try to say or think of it as little as I can, but sometimes I slip and have to go through a lot of pain. It's happened quite a number of times now to the point that I've started developing a slight resistance to the pain. This place is huge. There's no end in sight for the giant pool, and the forest stretches on forever. I explore every day but never go too far from my starting location in case the portal opens up again or the little girl appears. Well, I'm thankful that she got me out of the underworld. Knowing where exactly I'd end up and being close to some town or city would have been helpful. There's really not much to do here, but because of that, I've gotten plenty of time to practice the skills I know. I mainly do this when the sky's dark because I can move easier during that time. I know 3 skills. The first is transformation. It allows me to transform into any object, creature or person. My transformations are solid and almost indistinguishable from the originals. Back the manner, I would transform into dust and sneak into the library to gain knowledge and learn how to read and write. I'd also use the skill to hide from the servants close to my age because of how they always used to bully me when the adults weren't around, not like that stopped them from doing it. It's just that the head butler didn't like it when people slacked off so others could, and did, get in trouble with him for not finishing their work on time. The second skill is substitution. It allows me to switch my place with different objects. Objects closer to my size or mass are easier to switch with, and the closer they are the better. Other objects or those at a distance take more effort and can tire me out really fast. Substitution and transformation can be combined to pull off sneak attacks. People normally won't expect me to suddenly appear near them by switching myself or releasing my transformation. The final technique is wall walking. With it, I can walk up walls or other solid objects like trees. It feels so cool to be able to hang upside down on a ceiling without others seeing you. The only downside is that it requires a lot of focus and I can't hang upside down for too long because I start to feel lightheaded. I mainly practice substitution by replacing myself with different sized objects. It's rather hard to pull off quickly and I still have trouble with things less than half my size, but I'm slowly getting better. I also tried to see if I could walk on water. That didn't turn out as well as I thought it would and I don't feel like trying it again. The water was salty, so very salty. It's a good ARRRGH. Gabriel had to fight down a yawn as she sat in the council chamber and listened to angels bickering and arguing left and right. This practice was not in place during the time of her father and was put in place implemented a few years after Michiel took his place. He wanted all of the ranked angels to be able to put forth ideas and debate over current affairs like humans did in their parliaments. While the idea was sound, it quickly became obvious that it was inefficient when it came to swiftly dealing with dire matters. Unfortunately, only she saw the system as a failure, while the rest were all in favor of it. The ability to freely express themselves without the danger of falling was too enticing for the majority of the angels present. While Raphael was putting forth his next notion, Gabriel was trying to decipher the mystery behind hearing her father's name, accompanied by pain-filled shouts. It happened frequently after the first instance, and the language became more colorful every time fucking Lucifer's disease-infested ballsack shoved up his rotten ass, is something that will stick with her for the rest of her life. It became apparent that it was a devil who was saying her father's name. The numerous underworld references can attest to that, but the reason behind it was lost on her. Why would a devil continuously say the name of the Holy Creator? Why were they in the human world? And why do they get hurt every time they say it? She did not know, but she intended to find out. The date for her next visit to the human world was approaching, and Gabriel planned on quickly finishing her tasks before using the remaining time to search for the source of her curiosity and lack of sleep. Ugh, I feel so sick. It's been a couple of days since I've been feeling like this, and I can't figure out why. My body's burning up and my head keeps spinning. It's hard to move, even when the sky is dark, and I can't use any of my abilities. I've never felt like this before. I feel like I'm melting. It's better when the ball of light goes away, but not by much. I can move around for a while and eat, but even that takes a lot out of me and knocks me out cold. Even though it's tough, I'll bear it. I've been through worse and I've survived. Something like this won't take me out. Empty words. I lay down in my shelter, weakened and tired. My mind's fuzzy and I can't think straight. I see flashes, memories I didn't want to remember. The family of 3 were happily sitting at the table, enjoying their brief reprieve from the war. He was standing little ways back ready to answer and serve them should they call. The family made use of him, but they did so without acknowledging him. The tray clattered upon striking the ground, having been dropped from his arms. Its contents had gone flying in every direction. He watched on with mounting horror as the tea slowly made its way to the head butler's shoes. said man, was gazing at him with pure loathing mixed with vindictive pleasure. The loathing had always been there. Every servant hated him for one reason or another. He also had a good idea as to the reason behind the vindictiveness. Can you do anything right, failure? I gave you a simple task of taking tea up to Lady Venelana, yet you are incapable of doing even that. Clean this mess up immediately, and after you are done, thoroughly dust the ground floor and cellar alone. He was mortified at the task the head butler was giving him. The ground floor and cellar were the largest areas of the manor, and it normally took around 15 servants to dust them fast enough without holding up the rest of the manor's duties. Doing it alone would take up an entire day without rest, at the minimum. It'll take forever to do that on my own. He blurted out without thinking before he clamped his mouth shut, looking at the head butler, who smiled nastily, with dread. Did I just hear you complain? What have I said about complaining, failure? Don't do it, correct? Since you remembered that, the consequences of doing so are also clear, yes. He couldn't do anything but nod, knowing that nothing he'll say or do will make his situation any better, only worse. His eyes stung with unshed tears at the unfairness of it all. You will not receive any meals for a week, and any attempts at feeding yourself will result in the extension of your punishment. The head butler left him to clean up the mess he made without a further word. Once he was sure there was no one around, he let his tears fall and quietly sniffled as he began picking up the broken shards of the teacup. The searing pain on his back made him cry out in pain. Tears flowed free down his face as he was forced down on his knees and whipped till his back was raw and his throat hoarse from all the screaming. They took pleasure in his misery and jeered at him when he let out a whimper. It'll be over soon, he told himself. They'll stop soon enough. They kept doing it well into the next day. The loneliness, pain, and anger smother me as I fall asleep. The cool wind brushing against her face made Gabriel heave a sigh of relief. Her business at the Vatican had finally been concluded and she finally got a chance to stretch her wings and fly freely without any duties weighing her down. What's more, Michiel himself granted her a short leave on account of her excellent performance for the past few years. Gabriel still found it amusing how Michiel told her about her small vacation. She had simply been passing by his office when he called out to her, told her she could have a week of rest after her next visit to the human world, and promptly resumed his duties. She didn't even get a chance to say anything before she was dismissed. Still, her break, the first in many millennia as far as she could remember, couldn't have come at a better time. She planned on searching the human world for the devil who was repeatedly saying her father's name. Although it wasn't said as much as before, she could still hear it from time to time, as well as the shouting and cursing. While it was difficult to pinpoint the exact location, Gabriel devised a far easier solution than blindly searching for it. She would fly high in the sky, hidden from prying eyes through magic in the clouds, and wait for the voice to sound. Upon hearing, she'll steer towards its general direction and continue on. After many turns and long hours of flight, she'll eventually reach her destination hopefully. My body can't move. I can't feel a thing besides pain. When was the last time I ate? Even though my mind tells me it was a few days ago, it feels like it's been forever. The only time I'm awake is when it's dark. When it isn't, it hurts so much that I black out. So this is it, huh? This is how I die. I didn't even get to do anything. I wanted to experience new things and live my life the way I wanted to. For the last few days, I've been doing something that no devil should do and hasn't done. I prayed to God. It hurt so much to do it. A part of me breaks every time I do it. But what choice do I have? If anyone can save me, it's him. God hates devils and I don't like him either. That's gotta count for something, right? I also tried calling for the little girl that sent me here. When I did, though, it looked like something was coming but was stopped. So no help from there, huh? I'm also seeing things. I see an image of something white going in many directions. Whenever I see it I start feeling safe. I think I'm going mad in my last moments. Please, God, help me. I've been doing it for so long so I might as well keep doing it till I die. Gabriel was becoming anxious. She had been searching non-stop for the past 5 days and was finally nearing her destination. The number of turns she had to take decreased as the days went on, and so did the time between them. She could have cut down her time significantly by 4 days at least if she flew faster, but she was suppressing her energy as best as she could while still maintaining a respectable by supernatural standard speed. All of her efforts would have been for naught if Michiel sensed her using more energy than what was typically expected by one to use during their vacation to the human world. Her long search would come to an end soon enough, but the anxiety that gnawed at her heart was increasing. At first, the devil only said her father's name, followed by a lot of cursing. But now, however, he was praying. She could hear him pleading for help, begging for someone to save him. It broke her heart to hear the exhausted tone of his voice. The rather boisterous voice was reduced to the voice of someone on their deathbed. Please, God, help me. Something was wrong, oh so very wrong, and she intended to swiftly find out what and help the devil know, the child who was praying for salvation. Naruto was breathing harshly as he lay prone on the cool sand. The night was the only time when his pain was eased somewhat and he could form coherent thoughts, though he didn't think much now. He simply lay still, waiting for the inevitable. The sound of wings flapping brought him to his senses. He couldn't see where it was coming from, nor would he get the chance to as intense pain, unlike anything he felt before, coursed through his body, making him cry out before succumbing to the darkness that was rapidly filling his vision. Gabriel heard the young devil's cry of anguish and quickly descended onto the beach, where she saw a figure laying still. She rushed to it, and the first thing she noticed was that figure was a young, seemingly teenage boy with crimson hair. His skin was pale, and the only sign that he was alive was slight movement of his chest, which indicated that he was breathing. His face was contorted into an expression of pain. She wasted no time in getting beside him and quickly began checking him over to find the cause of his pain. His body flinched whenever she touched it, and she figured doing it slowly would cause less pain, but she didn't have the time to be gentle. He was dying and would soon be dead if she didn't do anything. She quickly deduced that the issue was internal rather than external. Her diagnostic spell informed her of numerous scars littering his back, but they weren't the source of his pain, so she ignored them and began channeling her energy inwards. This is holy energy poisoning. Was he attacked by one of my brethren? Or the fallen? No, he has no recent wounds. The scars on his back aren't fresh, and his current situation began a week ago. She saw that the teen's condition was worsening while she was using her energy, so she immediately suppressed all of it to not deteriorate his condition any further. I should take care not to use any more holy energy. He seems very weak to it. But why? Well, devils are weak to our energy. I was using so little of it that his demonic energy should have easily countered the effects. Unless she touched his chest and concentrated. A few seconds later her eyes snapped open in shock as she gazed at the young teenager. He has no demonic energy, how is that possible? I'll have to think on it later, but for now. She removed her hand from his chest and placed it on his forehead, making sure to move his bangs out of the way so that it was clear. She took a deep breath and carefully began to absorb the holy energy that was inside his body. Normally, devils can't retain holy energy as their bodies actively try to fight it. When the holy energy overpowers their demonic energy, it causes a backlash which causes them excruciating pain. In the boy's case, since his body has no demonic energy, holy energy has seeped into him and was slowly killing him from the inside. Her presence had sped up the process, but she was quickly fixing the issue by taking all of the holy energy in his body and into her own. It was the same technique her kind used to attain energy from the sun, which was coated with energy from heaven by her father. That must be how it happened. He must have stayed in the sun for too long. Devils would not have this issue as they can fight the tickle of holy energy the sun expends passively, but he is an exception. Poor thing, he must have been so confused and scared when he suddenly fell ill and only got worse. But what is he doing here? The devils are busy repairing the underworld after 2 successive wars, so none have left it and entered the human world. And how did he even get here? He has no demonic energy, so he cannot use a magic circle, and we detected no usage of a devil magic circle during the last couple of years. Her musings were cut short when she realized all of the holy energy had been extracted. The effects were immediate. The boy's face was no longer scrunched in pain, and he looked far more relaxed than before. His breathing had evened and the color was slowly returning to his face. He must be sleeping soundly for the first time in a week, she thought as she wove her hand through his hair, soothing him further. The boy seemed to enjoy her actions as he gained a peaceful smile on his face. It made her giggle. She had always been fond of children, no matter their race. I still some days left before I have to return. Till then I shall stay here and take care of you, child. Naruto shifted, groaning as the sun assaulted his eyes. He moaned piteously as he attempted to switch his position and turn away from the sun. In doing so, his face pressed against something soft. The feeling he got from the contact was incredible. He felt both warmth and comfort as he rubbed his face against whatever it was he was touching. A sound of soft giggling caught his attention, and his eyes snapped open to see a woman leaning over him. He gave a strangled yelp and shot up, colliding with the woman's face, after which he proceeded to roll around on the sand, nursing his now bruised head. More giggling drew his attention. He stopped to look around and saw the same woman nursing her jaw and giggling as she watched him. His face heated up with embarrassment and he looked away. The act only served to amuse the woman further. Only when the giggling subsided did Naruto turn his attention back to her. Looking her over, he could easily say she was the prettiest woman he'd ever seen, not that he's seen many. She had long, blonde hair that framed her beautiful face and blue eyes that shone with kindness, not that he could tell. Her clothing consisted of a bright white robe that reached down to her thighs that, while not being form-fitting, did nothing to obscure her figure. The only person he's ever seen to come close to that is Graphia, but even then this woman was leagues above her. The woman was perfection given from, but Naruto had no time to appreciate her as he was too busy staring into her eyes. The way she was looking at him was much different than how the other servants used to see him. The emotions in her eyes were similar to the ones Lady Gremory had when she was with her family, but pure. "Excuse me, but is there something on my face?" Naruto's gaze zoomed out and focused on the rest of her face after she worded her question. The voice she used to talk to him was also something new for him. Never had anyone spoken so nicely to him and it made him slightly uncomfortable being in a new situation and all. No. I was just looking at your eyes." He clamped his hand over his mouth after saying that. Well, he was no expert on social interactions, he had a feeling that what he said was incredibly stupid. The woman didn't seem to think so as she flashed him a smile so bright it was blinding. "I do not believe anyone has ever complimented me on my eyes, and you are quite honest. That is an excellent quality, child." "My name isn't Child." Naruto didn't what made him say it. For some reason, being called a child irked him. "Is that so? But I know not your name so how can I call you anything but child?" She intoned while tilting her head slightly. "Oh, I didn't think of that. Well, my name's Naruto. What's yours?" "It is a pleasure to meet you, Naruto. My name is Gabriel." Gabriel, I know I've heard it somewhere before." Think Naruto, think. Gabriel. His face paled as he remembered just where he had read that name before. It was in a history book which gave a brief overview on the biblical factions. "Are you the Archangel Gabriel?" Nod. "The Archangel Gabriel who's the strongest woman in heaven." Tilt. "The Archangel Gabriel who killed Leviathan in the Great War." Nod. Eyes narrow. "The Archangel Gabriel who brutally kills devils on sight." Tilt. Eyes widen. Eyebrows rise. "The Archangel Gabriel who once infiltrated the underworld and killed hundreds of devil children in the name of God and then devoured their souls." Eyebrows disappear in the hairline. Mouth agape. "Oh please don't hurt me." Naruto exclaimed as he shielded his face with his arms. The woman in front of him was dangerous. Underneath her good looks, she was a monster. "I don't taste good. In fact, I'm not even a devil." Gabriel looked on stunned. Is that what the children of the underworld thought of her? Was she really some sort of monster? She was a force to be reckoned with on the battlefield, yes, but she wasn't that frightening, right? The thought of children fearing her made her mortified. She loved children and would never hurt them. The reaction of the boy in front of her made her tear up. Sniffle. Naruto looked through the gap in his arms when he heard the sound of someone crying and lowered them when he saw the tear-filled face of Gabriel. He began panicking at the sight. Why was she crying? He hadn't done or said anything. Thoughts like these swam around in his head as he floundered to come up with his next course of action. Please don't cry, Miss Scary Strong Angel." "Why? Why are you crying even more? Why? Ugh, what do I do now?" Please, don't cry, Miss Not Scary but Still Strong Angel." Sniffle. "Okay, that's good. Next please don't cry, Miss Angel." Sniffle. "You're still going at it? Then please stop crying, Miss Gabriel." "Alright. You stopped." Sniffle. "God damn it HHH. I apologize for my poor conduct." Gabriel took some time to calm down and was now apologizing with a sheepish expression on her face. Naruto, for his part, was grumbling over how long it took to get the angel to stop crying. The sun weakened him enough as it is, so he was exhausted after dealing with her. "I already have trouble moving weight. I can move. And I'm not sick anymore." "How'd that happen?" He eyed Gabriel warily. He was sure she had something to do with it. The two of them were the only ones around, so if anyone helped him then it had to have been her. "Hold on. I was praying for someone to help me and she came along." "That means God listened. Did the big guy in the sky send you?" he asked her excitedly. Gabriel thought about his question for a moment. The big guy in the sky was no doubt her father. The boy thought God had sent her and he was right to think so. He had been praying to him for some time now and now that she, an angel, had come to help him he would think of it as God's way of aiding him. Too bad God was dead, not that she'd tell him that. "Why do you think so?" Gabriel wanted to know why he, a devil, had prayed to the Holy Father and why he was out here. So she decided on questioning him slowly and gradually obtaining the information she wanted. "Because I prayed, duh. I begged for someone to help me and you came. You were the one who helped me, right? I was sick and couldn't move for so long, but now I'm fine. Since you're the only one here that means you're the one who helped me. And the only way you'd help me is if God HHH. Naruto's rapid speech came to an abrupt halt upon mentioning the biblical God's name. Gabriel was by his side in an instant, holding him up and absorbing the holy energy inside of him. He had been in the sun for a while now and had said God's name twice, so quite a bit of energy had built up inside him. "You should be careful about what you say, young Naruto. I do not know why, but you experience pain every time you say his name. It is even worse when you pray. The pain is far worse, with you being a devil. What is your reason for praying? And how did you arrive here?" She realized her initial plan might not be possible. Naruto seemed to be an excitable child and he said her father's name with ease. There was no telling when he might say it, so she gave him a warning and asked him direct questions in hopes that he wouldn't have a chance to ramble and ultimately get hurt. I got it. I won't say G. Careful, she chided. Right. You wanna know why I prayed? I prayed because if Big G couldn't help me then who could? He grants wishes and everything, right? So I prayed for someone to help me. It's that simple. You prayed to my father knowing that it would hurt you? That is beyond reckless. You were already dying from holy energy poisoning. Wait, what poisoning? Naruto cut in at the mention of his sickness. Holy energy poisoning. It is a condition observed in devils after they have come into contact with large quantities of holy energy. Normally, their demonic energy cancels out the effects from weak sources, but you, surprisingly, do not possess any demonic energy and because of that, holy energy from the sun and you praying to and saying Father's name built up inside of you and began attacking your body from inside. So that's what happened to me? Yes. You were almost dead before I arrived and cured you. And how'd you do that? He was curious as to how Gabriel saved him. He recalled all of the torment he went through. In his mind, curing such a thing no doubt required some rare, obscure cure or difficult ritual, and he couldn't help but appreciate the trouble the archangel went through to ensure he lived. Oh, that. I simply absorbed all of the holy energy inside of you the same way as my kind take energy from the sun, Gabriel replied casually, unaware of how she had just brutally crushed one of his beliefs. It was that easy. Oh yes, quite so. Any angel could have done it, though I am not sure if anyone aside from me would have done so. Devils are our natural enemies, after all, but since I am extremely fond of children, no matter their race, you have nothing to worry about. She beamed at him. Is that so? But forget it. So where was I? You were justifying your reasons for praying to my father. Oh yeah. Right, so if the bearded dude couldn't help me, who could? What about the devils, your people? She inquired and noted how his expression visibly darkened at her question. His bright cheerful eyes had become dull and his smile was gone. What about them? Devils can't help anyone. They only know how to hurt. His experiences while living in the underworld had not endeared him to his own kind. Instead, they had made him despise the devil race. I believe you are being too harsh. Surely you understand that a label cannot be applied to an entire race due to the actions of a select few. I know of quite a few devils that are good. She honestly thought Naruto was being unfair. Every race has its own share of good and bad. She knew many angels that conducted deplorable acts against the devils and the fallen during the war, and at the same time she knew of quite a few devils that were honorable and caring. Then you don't know them well. Devils care only about themselves and won't help anyone who's in trouble. They'll only make it worse. Naruto's voice was rising with each sentence. Gabriel was pushing the right buttons at the wrong time and was unknowingly making the Redeed far angrier than he'd ever been. You're mistaken. Can you say the same for your family? Would they not help you in your time of need? Family is a stupid thing that shouldn't exist. He cut in harshly. How can you say that? Family is a wonderful thing and is the ultimate source of comfort and protection. Too bad I don't have a family. If I did then maybe I'd agree with you. He roared, finally losing any semblance of control he had over his emotions. The angel had made him angry by, in his eyes, trying to justify the horrible things devils did to him. Gabriel gasped and covered her mouth with her hands as tears stung her eyes. Oh dear, did they pass away? I'm sorry for bringing up such a sore topic then, she earnestly apologized to him. If the young child's family was gone then his view was more understandable. In that case, he was most likely sent to an orphanage. Unfortunately, it is rather common for children to be mistreated at them, either by the staff or other orphans. Or was it the streets, where no one cared for him? Why must it always be the children that suffer the most? They are to be treasured and treated with kindness. Adults can cope with the harshness of reality, but children are so fragile. She stood up and walked over to him. Naruto tensed and began backing away. He wasn't sure what Gabriel was going to do. At one moment she was criticizing him and in the next, she was apologizing. It was very confusing for the young devil. So many emotions ran through her eyes that he couldn't make heads or tails of them. Gabriel noticed him backing away, but paid no heed to it. Instead, she continued to walk towards him at a calm pace, and when he was going to shoot up and make a run for it, she leaned down and embraced him in a gentle hug. Naruto stilled at the contact and then began squirming to escape her hold. There was a servant who once hugged him, showing he cared about him and was trying to comfort him. The same servant whipped him an hour later for assaulting him. So it was no wonder that he felt uncomfortable in this position. Bad memories were associated with it. But when he realized there was no escaping from the angel's stronghold and that she wasn't trying to hurt him, he slowly started to relax and give into the hug. This is kinda nice. You were lonely, were you not? She asked softly while stroking his hair. Yeah, he thought while nodding. It must have been painful, being alone with no one to rely on other than yourself. It was, he thought while nodding once more. I can understand. I too have lost someone very dear to me, and I can understand the pain one goes through when they lose their loved ones. What? I haven't lost anyone. Everyone I know is still alive and I want them to die. It hurts when they leave, when you realize you can no longer be in their comforting presence. They loved and cared for us, and we are deprived of that when they pass away. It is the same for you. Your family passed away and left you alone in the world. Nah, they don't even know I exist, and I fucking hate them, but we'll go with what you're saying. For some reason, I get the feeling if I told what really happened then a shit ton of people will die all over the world. But do not digress. The pain only serves to help us move forward and slowly heals with time when we realize that we are not truly alone. She's really getting into it, isn't she? She's saying a lot of good stuff and listening to her feels good. Kinda makes me feel bad about not correcting her. But this is the nicest anyone's been to me, so I don't want to ruin it. Gabriel continued her passionate speech, seemingly unaware of the thought circulating in Naruto's head. The words coming out her mouth, while not applicable to his situation, had a soothing effect and were driving away his anger and sorrow until a calm, peaceful child was left behind. And that is why I have decided I shall take care of you until you are ready to face the world on your own. She finished on a high note and beamed at him. His dumbfounded expression caused her to laugh softly as she waited for his reaction and response. Naruto was in awe near the end of her speech. The sheer conviction in her words and the passion and love she said them with amazed him. This was the first time he heard anything like this, and it left a lasting impression. But when she finished, his wonder was replaced with confusion and a budding hope. Take care of me? Why would she do that? She's an angel, for crying out loud. She can't take care of a devil. Or maybe she means the other take care of. The one a criminal boss says to his men. But she wouldn't do that. She looks so nice and everything. Even now she's giggling. There's no way she'd be lying, right? Maybe she is and she'll kill me later, but if she isn't, then will you be my friend? Naruto asked in a meek tone. What he was asking for was something he'd only read about in books and wanted ever since he was little. A friend. Someone to play and laugh with, a person who you can count on to have your back no matter what. For a child who was disillusioned by the notion of a family when he was ignored by his own and was tortured by the same family's servant, a friend was something he always wanted and one day dreamt of having. Gabriel smiled at the shy, expectant look on his face. While most would call her an airhead, with good reason, she was very perceptive. She knew there was more to Naruto's situation and that it wasn't simply a case of losing family as his facial expressions during her speech revealed. There were parts where he was annoyed or in disbelief, but not once did he interrupt, and he slowly began to enjoy her words and started to relax. She was honest in her words, only that they applied more to herself than him. But if the end result was her letting go of some of her emotional baggage with the help of someone who honestly listened and that someone becoming more comfortable with her, then her slight trickery was justified. And now, he was asking her to be his friend. He was aware of her position and even displayed fear of her earlier. He knew of the relationship between their races and how easily she could kill him. Despite all of his misgivings, his desire for companionship won out and he reached out to her. She was honestly surprised. She expected him to simply accept that she was not going to hurt him and request some assistance from her before they would eventually part ways. They would have become acquaintances at best, like how she was with a small, barely handful of devils who she had met on the rare diplomatic meetings between the two races and got along with. She never had a friend before, so the request to become friends was very new and slightly daunting to her. But seeing his hopeful eyes and the cute shy expression on his face was enough for her to come to a decision. I would love to be your friend, Naruto. The bright smile he gave upon hearing her answer put the son to shame. A bath? Yes. What for? You have not cleaned yourself for over a week and now emit a repulsive odor. Due to this, it is in your best interest to wash thoroughly so that you may be clean once more. Ugh, I don't really get what you just said, but all I have to do is take a bath, right? It had been some time since Gabriel had agreed to become Naruto's friend. The young Redeed became so ecstatic when she said yes that he hugged her and tried to lift her up but was unable to do so. After he released her, a sheepish Gabriel explained that he was too weak to lift her up. When Naruto said she simply weighed too much, Gabriel started sulking and muttered not her fault she was made this way. Over and over again. They talked for a bit afterward when Gabriel suddenly declared he was desperately in need of a bath. That, or if you prefer, I can use a cleansing spell on you to clear off all of the filth that clings to you. That's so cool. Can the spell also clean clothes, furniture, glass, and stone? Of course. All angels, as well as our garments in heaven itself, all have this spell permanently cast on us by our Father so that we may remain pure and clean at all times. It was far better than washing oneself with water, though it is not as relaxing or satisfying. That's awesome. I wish I knew a handy spell like that. So, can you use it on me? I don't feel like going into the cold water. It will be my pleasure. Gabriel gathered some holy energy in her right palm and compressed it into a ball. During that time Naruto was heavily sweating and felt his strength leave him. Suddenly this doesn't seem like a good idea. Gabriel, St. Purifico. The ball of light raced towards him and engulfed him in a shroud of holy energy. Naruto didn't even have time to scream out in pain before he, fortunately, blacked out. "How is it, Naruto? Do you feel clean?" Gabriel asked when the light faded away. Instead of seeing a clean Naruto standing in front of her, looking at himself in awe before thanking her, she saw a clean Naruto passed out on the sand, groaning in pain. Hey, what just happened? Naruto. Archangel Michiel was having a wonderful day. He had tackled most of his work for the day, the forces of heaven were recovering their strength at an excellent rate, he hadn't received any reports of major distress in the human world, and Gabriel was nowhere to be found. Indeed, the new leader of heaven had a beautiful day. I see someone's in a good mood. Michiel looked up to see his brother Raphael enter his office. The physical features of the two, aside from their height, were very different. Raphael had long, silver hair in contrast to Michiel's golden locks, and his physique was far more rugged and muscular than Michiel's almost feminine body. His golden eyes filled with amusement were locked with Michiel's own. "Brother, how nice of you to join me. Are you done with your duties for the day?" "Yep. I got everything done a little while ago and had some time on my hands, so I decided to come see Heaven's Queen. Will you ever let that go?" Michiel asked in a tired tone. "Will you drop that ridiculous appearance and assume your true form?" "No." "Well, too bad, I'm going to keep calling you queen until you do. You know better than anyone as to why I have to take on this form. My powers are too volatile at the moment and my true form would magnify the issue further. But learn to control it, damn it. Do you how many of our brethren fell because you forwent your true appearance and became a walking sex doll? It's wrong, man, it's wrong. I am surprised you still have not fallen with that crass tongue and obscene thoughts of yours," Michiel deadpanned. "Meh, Dad made me more awesome than the rest of you. So back to my original question, what's gotten you so happy today? Wait, don't tell me, you finally found a way for us to get laid without plummeting to the brothel Azazel's got going down there?" Michiel had to pinch his nose at his brother's words. Raphael had always been the most liberal out of all the angels. He could get away with saying and doing many things that would have caused many others to fall from grace. "No, most definitely no. In fact, even if I did, I assure you would be the last person to know, if ever. No, what I am happy about is Heaven's current position and the tranquility we are currently enjoying." "Oh yeah, Gab's not here. That was my first guess, you know. The area's quiet, there's nothing on fire, no one's dismembered, fewer angels have fallen and it's peaceful all around." "Indeed. Let us enjoy it while it lasts. I am terribly sorry." Gabriel was cradling Naruto's head in her lap and apologizing to him as tears flowed freely from her eyes. Naruto blearily looked at her teardrops striking his face and tried to come up with something that would get her to stop crying. "It's fine, Gabriel. It wasn't your fault, so stop crying, okay?" "No. How can you say that? Because of my negligence, you could have died." "Ah, it didn't work then, but I'm not dead. I'm right here in your lap talking to you. Everything's fine, see? But time to go in for the kill. Gabriel, I forgive you." "Wah. That should do it. It's been a while since I've had to calm a distressed woman." "How where'd that come from? Herc, you forgive me? After what I did?" "Oh, Naruto. You are so precious." While Naruto was striving off an intense headache, Gabriel piled another problem on his plate by hugging him tightly with his face buried in her bosom, which made him start choking. "Georgia Brielle can't breathe, stop. You are so kind and forgiving. You may be a devil on the outside, but on the inside, within your soul, you are an angel. I am sure of it. Atis gr8, but seriously stop hugging me. If you were an angel, how many wings would you have, I wonder? Oh, who am I kidding? There is no way someone as pure-hearted as you would have anything other than 6 pairs, the highest number there is. I see darkness. Is this the end? What do you think? Naruto. Naruto fell out cold due to suffocation. Gabriel became depressed once more. But was it alright to send her away? Who knows how much havoc she's wrecking in the human world right now, Raphael asked while seated on Michiel's desk, much to his chagrin. "Everything is fine. I have not felt or received reports of any disturbance that has her name written on it. She is peacefully enjoying her break and we are peacefully enjoying her absence. So it's a win-win for all of us. The Archangel Gabriel is the strongest woman in heaven. She is the kindest and most loving out of all the angels. Her compassion overcomes all racial barriers and her strong sense of justice disallows any injustice to take place before her. She is always compassed, strong and reliable when she is in a serious situation. When heaven's strongest woman is not faced with any situation that can be termed as serious, she regresses from the epitome of womanly perfection to an airheaded and clumsy woman who can and will cry over the smallest of things. Naruto is seeing this new, more klutzy side of her the angels of heaven had become used to seeing on a regular basis. Here you go, Naruto. Gabriel said with a bright smile as she handed Naruto a wooden bowl with steam coming from the top. Gabriel, what's this? The bowl in his hands contained a dark bubbling concoction which was producing hissing noises and giving off a disgusting smell that made his nose wrinkle. He could have sworn he saw an image of a rotted skull form on the surface at one point. Seafood stew. I made it using fish caught from the ocean and herbs from the forest, she proudly declared. Why is it black? That is how it is supposed to look like, silly. Gabriel was acting like a child on a sugar rush. It had been so long since she last cooked a meal. Many years ago, her father prohibited her from cooking, saying an angel of her stature does not need to bother herself with such menial tasks. All of the other senior angels at the time, including Lucifer, were fully behind him in this decision. She remembered throwing a small fit at that, but ultimately accepted it. It wasn't until now that she had an opportunity to cook once more, and for a friend no less. She was very excited to see him taste it and give her his thoughts on her dish. Naruto for his part was alternating his gaze between the excited and slightly hopeful visage of Gabriel and the stew of doom that was spelling death repeatedly via the steam it gave off. Gabriel had worked hard to make it, part of his mind reasoned, so to not eat it would be an insult to her, his first friend. Another part of his mind, however, argued that ingesting the stew would lead to a slow, painful demise, which is why he should toss it away immediately and save himself from the suffering it would, no doubt, bring. The two parts argued back and forth, producing counter-argument after counter-argument until the first part eventually won. I see then, thanks for the food. Naruto braced himself and began pouring the stew down his throat. It tasted horrible. He had never eaten a shit-covered, maggot-infested corpse before, but if he had, he would have likened the stew to it. The liquid viscous and it burned his insides as it traveled down to his stomach. While drinking it, he also saw a hazy image of a cloaked figure wielding a scythe, standing next to him. It was a terrible experience overall, one he never wanted to experience again. So, how is it? Gabriel asked after he finished the entire bowl. She had a hunch he enjoyed it very much, considering the fact he finished it all in one speedy go. But hearing him say it was good would be far more satisfying than her own deduction. It was amazing. Naruto said wearily. He wanted to say he was about to die, but he couldn't bring himself to insult the first person that gave a damn about him. Splendid. I knew you would enjoy it. Which is why I took the liberty of making more than enough to last a person for a week. Naruto's face took on a horrified expression. Gabriel's eyes were closed and he took a long glance at the large, more like gigantic, pot full of death stew. All he could manage to say was great with a resigned tone. I hope she's not trying to cook anything, Raphael casually stated with his feet propped up on Michiel's table and a bowl of fruit Michiel's in his lap. He was happily snacking on the condiments the leader of heaven set aside for visitors. Michiel was trying, and failing spectacularly at that, to control the twitch that had developed in his hands. Strangling your brother will lead to your fall, Michigan. Strangling your brother will lead to your fall, Michigan. Strangling her. If she is, Raphael continued, oblivious to the murderous thoughts brewing in Michiel's head, then I feel sorry for any poor suckers that are around her. She always gets others to eat the shit she makes and never tries any of it herself. She's a sadist, I tell ya. Raphael was also unaware of how much this tidbit of information would have benefited a certain redhead. You're too slow. Gabriel. I am holding back. After the disastrous lunch, for one person anyway, Naruto and Gabriel were playing a simple game of tag at the shoreline. Naruto was playing because A, he wanted to play and B, to digest the horrible stew he ate earlier as quickly as possible. Gabriel was playing simply for the sake of playing with the retard. She hadn't eaten any of the stew, saying she could go on for weeks without food and that the stew was made exclusively for him, Naruto. The last part made him both elated and miserable. Gabriel was not utilizing much of her speed, letting the devil enjoy himself very much more than he would have if she had caught him in less than a second and did not allow him to catch her. So engrossed was she in the game that she failed to notice the crab that came up in front of her. She only noticed it when her foot made contact with the lower edge of its shell, launching it towards the retreating figure of the retard. Naruto stopped and turned back to taunt Gabriel. Instead of doing so, however, his attention was focused on the crab that was shot towards him. It was moving so fast that he had no time to move out of the way. The crab impacted against a rather sensitive region, causing him to cry out in pain and knocked him off his feet. He then proceeded to writhe about in pain while screaming his head off. Naruto. What is the matter? Gabriel fussed when she got to him. It's on it. It's on it. What is on what? The place I pee from. That thing's crushing it. Gabriel looked over to where Naruto was pointing and gasped when she saw the crab latch to Naruto's crotch. Please hold still. I shall remove it, thanks. Wait, Gabriel. UGHH. Do it gently. But in all honesty, I prefer the current Gab to the one before Dad died. Before though Raphael suppressed a shudder while sitting next to Mitchell in the huge seraph bath. The warm water was doing wonders for both their bodies after a hard day of work. Agreed. Mitchell was focusing on happier memories to stop his mind from going back to a time when Gabriel was different. Those days were full of pain and humiliation for the seraphim. The other angels were unaware of how different she used to be, as she acted like a proper angel in their presence, and as for their father, and after all the shit she used to pull, Dad never got mad at her because she was Daddy's little girl. Mitchell wholeheartedly agreed with Raphael's words. Their father always had a soft spot for Gabriel and never reprimanded her for any of her more less than pure actions. The two brothers then sat in a comfortable silence, enjoying the warm, soothing water and their mutual feelings regarding their sister. It was only broken when Raphael next spoke. "Hey Mitchell, why are you even here? You do know this is the men's bath, right?" It took every ounce of the archangel's self-control to not drown the silver-haired angel then and there. So tired, it was nighttime and Naruto was exhausted. The stress from all of the ordeals he had during the day had tired him out, and right now he wanted nothing other than a good rest. "Then come here, Naruto." Naruto looked over at Gabriel and saw her sitting on her knees and gesturing to her lap. He was wary around the woman. The entire day was full of accidents when it came to her. Though she meant well, he couldn't help but be cautious, wondering what will happen to him this time. Having no valid reason to reject her, he slowly trudged over and plopped down beside her. "Lay your head down on my lap." He nodded absently and laid down on the cool sand, his head resting on her lap. It was very comfortable and Naruto would have fallen asleep right then if Gabriel hadn't continued speaking. "How was your day?" she asked while running her fingers through his hair. Naruto gained a blissful expression under her ministrations. He was seriously considering falling asleep right now, but remembered that Gabriel had asked a question. "It was good," he answered. He was being honest. Even with all of the accidents and painful experiences he had with the blonde angel, he considered today the best and most fun day of his life. "I am glad to hear that. I apologize for everything that has happened throughout the day. Not your fault, I am afraid it was. I can be rather clumsy when not in battle or a serious situation. Accidents tend to happen because of it, and some of them can be quite dangerous." Naruto listened to her explanation with half-lidded eyes and considered her words. He saw no problem with Gabriel being a klutz. He read a book that everyone had some kind of quirk, and this was probably hers. Hell, he might have a worse quirk, so he couldn't really judge her for it. "No problem, it is a problem, Naruto. At least, all of my brethren seem to think so." She trailed off with a downtrodden expression. "What do you mean?" "I cause a lot of problems for everyone. The others have to clean up after my mistakes, and even though they do not say anything to me, I am certain they consider me a burden. This vacation of mine is merely just a way for them to be rid of me for a short duration." Gabriel was very perceptive. It was obvious to her that the other angels didn't really need her. Outside of diplomatic missions, she tended to make a mess of even the simplest of tasks. The others didn't think she was aware of their inner thoughts, and neither did she act as if she was privy to them. It saddened her, but she couldn't let it bring her down. She had already disappointed her father by wasting so much of her time grieving after his death. She won't let her siblings' feelings towards her affect her position and role as the strongest woman in heaven. Part of her wondered why she was so comfortable sharing this with Naruto. It had been only a little over a day since she met him, and she was already letting all of her inner thoughts and worries out. She chalked it up to him being someone who saw her as more than heaven's second in command, her first friend. Then that's their loss. Gabriel looked down and was surprised to see Naruto looking up at her with a serious expression on his face that wouldn't look out of place on a wise old man who had seen and experienced much of what the world has to offer, namely her father. "If they cannot appreciate you for who you are, then they are fools of the highest degree and do not deserve to be graced by your presence." Naruto was in a trance. Words were spilling out of his mouth without him so much as thinking about them. It would have worried the young devil had it not felt so natural. "You are a very special woman, Gabriel. You showed kindness to a weak devil such as I when others of your race would have left me to die. You took care of and showed me more kindness than anyone else. You are the most compassionate woman I have ever met, and seeing your face clouded with despair pains my heart." Gabriel silently listened to his words. They were like a sweet honey that was pleasing to ingest and brought her pleasure. They entered her ears unimpeded and found their way to her mind, heart, and soul all at once. So engrossed was she by Naruto's words that she did not notice him get up and stand in front of her. Her head simply tracked his movements automatically as she kept on listening to him. "If those residing in heaven cannot see the true you, then I shall gaze upon you for eternity to make for it. If they cannot appreciate the wonderful woman you are, then I shall appreciate you in infinite times more than they ever could have, and if they cannot accept you for who you are, then I shall accept fully with all my being. I shall all of those things and more because you are my friend, Gabriel, and if the angels in heaven won't have you, then I'll take you as you are." Naruto finished his speech with a small gentle smile and held his hand out to her. Gabriel looked at it and then to his and back again. Her mind was thinking over everything he had said and had come to a single decisive conclusion. She took his hand. Mitchell sighed contentedly after successfully handling his day's workload once more. It had been over a month since Gabriel had left for her vacation. While it had been well over the time she was due to return, Mitchell was not worried. Due to his position as the leader of heaven, Mitchell was aware of the state of every angel under his service. Right now, he could sense Gabriel, which meant she had not fallen and she was healthy, so she was perfectly safe. If Gabriel wanted to extend her break, then he was more than willing to let her do so. He loved his sister dearly, but even he could admit that ever since Gabriel had left, heaven's workings had improved immensely as they were no longer bogged down by Gabriel's mishaps. Yes, he was definitely going to let her continue with whatever she was doing in the human world, if only to strengthen heaven's position further. He would call her back some time later if she didn't return on her own. Until then, he was content with enjoying the peace for longer. Brother. And that peace suddenly went up and evaporated when he unmistakably heard the voice of the sister he was just thinking about. Why did she have to return now? What about his peace, damn it? Greetings, Gabriel. It is wonderful to see you so fresh and in good health. Did you enjoy your vacation? Whatever Mitchell's inner thoughts were, he didn't vocalize them or visualize them on his face. After everything was said and done, Gabriel was his beloved sister who he cared for greatly. She had taken their father's passing harder than anyone else, and it was up to him as her elder brother and superior to make sure she was well at all times. It was amazing. I partook in so many enjoyable activities and made a friend. That is great, Gabriel. Mitchell was happy for his sister. He hadn't seen her so joyous since the passing of heaven's original ruler. Are you ready to resume your duties, then? He had to ask. Even if he knew the answer and may not like it, he had to ask as per formality. About that I quit. A heavy silence reigned in the office after that declaration. Gabriel stood calmly in front of her brother's desk while said brother was doing his best impersonation of a fish out of water. Mitchell could not comprehend what Gabriel just said. Quit? What was that even supposed to mean? An angel could not simply quit their job. It was a lifelong duty until they perished or fell. There was no resignation. Gabriel, what do you mean? Oh? I am resigning from my post as heaven's second in command, archangel, and seraph. But, you can't. Why not? Gabriel asked with a slight tilt of her head, an incredibly innocent look on her face. It is not possible. Your job as an angel is your sworn duty, a lifelong binding that cannot be undone. Father made it this way and he assigned you your role when you were born. You cannot step away from it. Again, why not? By simply not doing my duties, which are not that much or great, mind you, I can effectively resign, can I not? She could. Gabriel was correct. If someone didn't attempt to do the tasks appointed to them, then it's as good as there not being anyone to do them. More than that, Gabriel's role is that of a messenger between heaven and the human world, which can easily be, and has been, filled by any other angel. More importantly, Gabriel was a symbol of heaven's strength, as well as one of the strongest angels alive. Her simply being part of their forces boosts their strength and morale considerably and is enough to deter many from picking a fight with them due to her accomplishments in the Great War. Simply put, heaven could not afford to lose Gabriel, no matter how useless she may be in day-to-day tasks. It is not simply about the work, Gabriel. You are a valuable member of our forces, and without you, other factions will be more inclined to wage war against us. We cannot afford to take part in such a conflict with how our current state is. So please, drop this foolish notion and resume your duties as before. No. Wah. Mitchell was caught flat-footed once more. Was Gabriel outright refusing to comply? What in the world was going on? Although he didn't want to resort to it, Mitchell had no choice but to be more forceful. Gabriel. As your leader, I order you to desist this childish rebellion of yours and return to your chambers without any further argument. You shall resume your duties after a day of rest. Refusing to heed these instructions will be going against the will of heaven and will result in you being barred from heaven. He carefully watched her after giving out his orders. Even Gabriel would not be stubborn or stupid enough to risk falling. It would go against her very nature, and the seriousness on her face as she listened to his words assured him that she had heard him clearly and would no doubt do as he said. It was the only logical course of action, after all. To his surprise and utter horror, Gabriel began laughing at his words. It was a very familiar laugh which sent shivers down his spine and caused his knees to shake uncontrollably. Mitchell, you imbecile. I was waiting to see when you'd pull out that lame-ass leader card, you cockless bitch. Mitchell had an urge to urinate at that moment. This situation was just like before his father's death. The pleasant face of his sister, the sinister aura surrounding her, and the demonic words that came from her mouth, it all dug up a shit ton of PTSD that he had taken great steps to overcome. Wanna know something funny? You can threaten me with falling all you want. It might work on the rest of the losers here, but there's no effect on me. Wanna know why? Because I can't fucking fall no matter what. I am possibly T the system and P place affects ETS all of you, us he managed to say in face of such an oppressive force. Gabriel gave him a beautiful smile which made him almost soil himself. Did you forget who I am? I'm daddy's favorite. He wouldn't enforce the same rules on me. I can break all the bones in your body and get away with it without any repercussion, something which you have quite a bit of experience with. By now Mitchell had gotten into fetal position and was murmuring, I'm a good little angel on loop. So back to what I said before, your pathetic self decided to go against me. I'm leaving and there's nothing you can do to stop me, since we both know who's the stronger of us. I might drop by every now and then, but don't expect me to happily take on my duties again like a worthless teacher's pet. You already have enough cunts here for that. So farewell brother, and I hope to see you again in a decade or so. Gabriel vanished in a flash of golden light, leaving Mitchell on the floor, rocking back and forth while sucking his thumb. It was to this sight that Raphael walked in on. A pit formed in his stomach and a feeling of mounting dread took over him after he considered the implications of Mitchell's state. Boy Mitchell. What's wrong? Please, spirit of dad, don't let it be so. Please, spirit of dad, don't let it be so. Please. As she's back Raphael, she's be back. God fucking damn it. It's been a while since Gabriel left for heaven. She said it won't be long before she comes back though. The past month has been the greatest time of my life, not that hard considering how shitty my life was before I met her. We did so much during the last month. Gabriel taught me more about the human world, we played a lot of games together, I learned how to cook because Gabriel simply sucks at it, Gabriel brought me new clothes, we built a small shack and so much more. Gabriel did mess up a lot in many things, but looking back at all those instances makes me happy since they're so funny after the pain and suffering go away. We're going to leave the island soon and I'm really excited about it. I want to see more of the world and having my friend with me will make it even better. Friend. Now that's something I never thought would be possible. Having a friend like Gabriel is amazing and I can't wait to make more, not that there's anything wrong with her, but more friends are better, right? Naruto. I look out at the ocean and see Gabriel waving at me from the deck of a small wooden ship. She has a smile on her face as she tells me to get on board. Another thing about the time I spent with her. It was enough to make me forget about my life in the underworld for a short while. Don't get me wrong, I'm still pissed off about the whole thing and hate everyone from the manor, but I really didn't care about all of that while having fun with Gabriel. Maybe I'll forget all about it one day. They don't care about me and I don't want anything to do with them, so ignoring them and forgetting everything might just be better for me. Humming. I don't know what's going to happen from now on. The future might be good or it could be more terrible than anything I've experienced before. No one can tell. What I do know, however, is that my life and adventure have only just begun. Look out world, Naruto's coming to shake you up. Mitchell slowly trudged back to his room. After recovering from his harrowing experience and dealing with the fallout of Gabriel leaving, the Archangel was exhausted and wanted nothing more than to lay down on his bed and enter a blissful sleep. The only problem with that though was the fact that his bed was already occupied by someone else. What are you doing, Raphael? His fellow seraph and angel of healing was in his sleeping robes and calmly laying underneath his sheets while pursuing a book. Raphael looked up when Mitchell called out to him and smiled at his brother. I thought you could use some company and support after facing her. So I decided to join you in bed. Don't worry, it's big enough to support the both of us. I also brought you a change of clothes. Raphael pointed to a nightdress that was popular amongst human women. It was pink in color and had a lot of frills on it. Mitchell looked back and forth at the dress and at Raphael holding up the sheets from one side of the bed with an inviting look on his face. Only one response came to his mind. Please leave. Please, just fucking leave. Ah. Pain racked his body as the barbed rod struck his back once more. He was chained and dangling from the ceiling of the cell they had put him in. Ah. The rod found its mark again, its wielder laughing cruelly at the target's pain. It hadn't even been a day since he was captured and already he was nearing the limits of his willpower. Ugh. The rod impacted harder this time. The nails dug deeply into his back and his blood pooled underneath him. Just how much blood did a person's body have, he wondered. He had lost too much to keep count. Whoops, hit too hard that time. I gotta be careful or else the captain'll have my head, his torturer said nonchalantly. The man wasn't even slightly remorseful over his actions. The torture session continued. His thoughts turned to his family. Were they safe? Was he able to buy them enough time to escape? The cell door opened and the beating came to a halt. Even though he couldn't see him, he could tell that his torturer had corrected his posture and now stood straight in a sign of respect. After all, that was the only thing that could be given to the man that stepped into the room. Standing at height of 6.5 feet with a muscular body, he was someone that would stand out in a crowd, especially with his wild crimson hair and deep blue eyes. He was wearing a red admiral's uniform with a black cape tied across his shoulders. How fares our guest, Luke? His voice was authoritative yet smooth. It was the kind you would happily comply to even if it told you to drown yourself in the ocean. He still hasn't cracked, Captain. A real tough guy we have on our hands. I see. The captain walked closer to him. With his hazy vision, he could spot something in his hand. It was a sack from what he could tell. The crimson-haired man stopped directly in front of him and looked him in the eye. Why do you make this harder on yourself, friend? Just tell us where you hid O's a Pellad's compass and we'll set you free. Aha, my family, you bastards, what did you do to my family? He asked with labored breaths. Your family? If you must know, my men, as per my instructions, have taken care of them for the duration of your stay here. They're perfectly safe, I assure you. He believed him. Ever since they first met, the captain had not lied to him once. For a pirate, he had more honor than most, and the reason behind his current state is because he refused to divulge information on the whereabouts his mentor Jose's compass. The compass was one of the most sought-out items in the current era for those who know of it. Rumors say it leads to a treasure like none other, but he knew the truth, it leads to a frightening artifact that could cause the destruction of the world, or so his master told him. If it fell into the hands of this man, never. Oh, so you won't disclose the information? Not even for your family? His family? His light in this cruel world. He saw images, flashes of memories of his sons fishing with him, of his daughter, feeding him a dish she made on her own, and of his wife, as she lay in bed with him, looking at him with love and adoration. Could he? This compass must never see the light of day. What it leads to is something, not of this world. Something great and terrible. Promise me you will hide it. I would destroy it if it weren't indestructible, and discarding it in the ocean doesn't work, it keeps coming up. You're the only one I can rely on. Don't let me down. My answer is still no. The captain's eyes darkened and a malicious glee entered them. His triumphant smirk set off warning bells inside his head. Well, that is quite a shame. And here I thought you actually cared about your family. I guess they were fools for thinking you'd save them. What? He felt his heart clench. He didn't know why, but suddenly the cell felt a lot darker and the men around him more sinister than before. Your sons were very defiant, such valiant young lads. That valor didn't last much once we started skinning them alive. Their screams gave my men a morale boost, and they only got louder once we started dipping their bodies in acid. He stared at him, horrified by what he was hearing. His sons, his pride and joy gone. And in such a brutal manner. Their wife was a feisty one. She was so sure that you would come save her and repeatedly insulted my men with that mouth of hers. The same mouth was then screaming for them to stop while they spent an entire day pounding her. Sadly, all good things must come to an end, and for her, it was after we dismembered her. Bile rose up his throat. His wife, his beautiful caring wife, was defiled like that. And the dismemberment he had to stop himself from puking once he pictured her in pieces. And last but not least, your daughter. My men were already raping your wife, so it wouldn't have been creative of us to do the same with her, or even the right thing as some of us have standards. Instead, we addled her mind with an entire crate worth of drugs and pitted her against our hounds. Even being torn to shreds did not stop her laughter and demented sentences. It was quite an entertaining spectacle if I do say so myself. He actually did throw up this time. His little girl was literally fed to the dogs. His sweet angel who wasn't even capable of killing a fly. If you want proof then here it is. He opened the sack and spilled its contents in front of him. Out came two heads with no skin on them, his sons, a young girl's head which was shredded in various places, his daughter, and a woman's head which was cleanly cut from the neck, his wife. None of this would have happened if you told me where the compass was when we first met. The blood of your family is on your hands and your hands alone. He killed his family. His eyes were transfixed on the heads on the floor. They were dead because of him. He screamed. No, he didn't kill them. He screamed louder. They were killed by the monster in front of him. His scream was heard throughout the ship and the weaker pirates were knocked unconscious. So you did possess the Conqueror's hockey. Though it seems you weren't aware of it and therefore don't know how to properly use it, Anton D. William. William did not register what the captain said. He could not see anything but red from his clothes to his hair. He wanted nothing more than to kill him. Why? He could no longer remember. All he knew was that the man before him had to die. He lunged forward, fully intent on pummeling the captain, but before he could move far, he was violently grabbed from behind and held back. No. He would not be stopped. He writhed in the arms of his captor and tried to break free, but to no avail. It's a shame that someone of your talent has to go out like this. With your heritage and hidden power, you could have been among the strongest men that sail these waters. Instead, you chose to whittle your life away in the shadows of an archaeologist. The captain gave a shrug and a what can you do manner. He didn't give a damn. He wanted to rip the bastard's throat out and make him drown in his own blood. It's time for me to conclude this little meeting of ours. I have places to be, people to meet and hidden compasses to find. The captain placed his right hand in his pocket and took out a medallion. It was smooth and oval in shape and was dark as night. The surface was engraved with a series of runes that began glowing a soft golden color when it was brought closer to William's head. "This is the end, William. I would say it's been a pleasure knowing you, but that would be a lie, and I never tell more than half a lie." The medallion made contact with his forehead and he began screaming and thrashing in the arms of his captor. The pain was unbearable. His head was ablaze and his body was writhing from the agonizing pain. He felt his thoughts, emotions, and memories get sucked out of him until there was but an empty husk of a man remaining. The captain staggered a little and got down on his left knee to steady himself. Luke was beside him moments later and wasted no time in fussing over his health. After taking a few minutes to calm his breathing, the captain held up a hand towards Luke, signaling for him to stop, and stood back up. He was still feeling out of it, but not so much as to hamper his normal bodily functions. "What happened, Captain?" If the captain was touched or irritated by his subordinate's concern, he did a good job of not showing it and instead silently ordered him to dispose of what remained of William. Luke complied and the captain made his way out of the cell and into one of the ship's hallways, where he ran into his quartermistress. She was a tall, gorgeous woman with long blonde hair and blue eyes. Her eyes, after taking in his state, were projecting worry. He smiled at her reassuringly and kept walking. She fell in step with him and together they entered his cabin. "How did it go?" she asked as soon as the cabin door was locked shut. "Tiring. Having a person's entire life shoved into your head is a very torturous experience. It took a lot out of me to not lose myself." He wasn't lying. When the medallion made contact with William's head, the captain felt his very being be invaded by William, and he had to use a significant portion of his strength to stay in control and assimilate the memories that flooded his mind. "Is that so? I trust you were successful." "Yes, I now know where the compass is hidden, and all it took was destroying a handful of worthless people. We'll set out to retrieve it after I regain my strength and finish up a few requests. As expected of you. Once you set your eyes on something, you'll crush every obstacle in your path until you attain it," she said with no small amount of admiration. He chuckled while pouring wine for the two of them. He raised his glass for a toast and she responded in the like. After downing his glass in one go he said, "My dear, they don't call me Maelstrom for nothing." He was a brave sailor who had traversed all the oceans of the world, had faced legendary monsters that roamed the seas and come out of the scuffle unscathed, drunk with the best of pirates, and later killed them without remorse, bedded mermaids while having affairs with sirens. He was, "I'm so bored, scratch that." He was simply Naruto, a teenage devil who had been out at sea for 2 months now and was getting tired of seeing water, and more water. Same here. Alongside him was Gabriel, a former seraph of heaven and the most beautiful angel in existence. The two of them were lying on the deck with their arms spread wide and an expression of utter boredom etched onto their faces. Gabriel rued the day she thought traveling by sea would be a good idea. Sure, it was fun at first. Going on a grand adventure with her first and only friend Naruto by her side, but it quickly became apparent that there wasn't much they could do on a ship. What's more, without any predetermined destination, the two of them were wandering aimlessly. They had yet to see any other ships or landmasses besides the island they set off from and had arrived at again by some unexplainable means. "That damn S probably laughing his skinny ass off right now." Naruto showed no reaction to Gabriel's change in demeanor. He had discovered this other side of her a few days into their journey, and while he was surprised at first, he was never afraid since her attention was always directed towards heaven while like that and she would revert back to normal whenever she turned to him. "Can't you fly us somewhere?" "For the 38th time, Naruto, you would die if I used my powers." That was also a problem. Due to the close proximity between them, Gabriel could not use her powers at all, for fear of killing him. The purification spell she used on him months ago was the tiniest use of her holy energy, and it had caused Naruto immense pain and knocked him out. Anything more than that could potentially kill him, and Gabriel refused to take that risk. Well, that sucks, Captain." "Ship spotted." The voice of his lookout diverted his attention from the wheel and to the crow's nest. "Status: an ordinary sloop with no apparent association. Might be a personal transport." The captain contemplated what he was told. The ship was too small and cheap to belong to someone noteworthy, and he doubted it contained anything of value. But even so, he might be mistaken, and it could be carrying something interesting, and the fact that it was sailing these parts made it even more intriguing. "Prepare for a potential engagement. Conceal all weaponry and ready the disguises. Diplomacy will be our initial course of action." "Aye, Captain." The crew chorused. "Is there reason for you to go after that small of a vessel?" his quartermistress asked. She took great care in analyzing every move he made in order to plan for any kind of outcome. "Sloops don't normally sail these waters. They're too slow, and the size makes them easy targets for aquatic beasts and those such as us. I am interested in what it may be carrying and the people on board. We may get something surprisingly valuable, fresh merchandise, new crew members or a meaningless bloodbath." He was smirking by the time he finished speaking. While riches would always be his main priority, he appreciated the opportunity to cut loose and go on a killing spree. He wouldn't be as feared as he was if that wasn't the case. One of these days your bloodlust will be the death of you. I am amazed by the restraint you showed with that man William, was it? For as long as you did, she said with exasperation. I am a man of many talents. Repressing my urges is quite simple compared to some of the other things I can do, the captain said with a hearty chuckle. His quartermistress, in response, merely rolled her eyes and walked off to supervise the men on the deck. Naruto and Gabriel had fallen into a deep slumber to the point that not even seagulls landing around or on them and crying disturbed them. As such, they were also blissfully unaware of the approaching pirate ship. Hello there. They were jostled awake, however, by a loud shout from the neighboring ship. Hello there. The ship had been halted next to the sloop. Any signs of it belonging to pirates had been hidden away, and the captain himself had abandoned his normal garb in favor of a more casual sailor outfit. When he had gotten his first glance at the people on the small ship, he scoffed at the red-haired boy who was frail and didn't look remotely useful. His viewpoint became completely opposite when he laid eyes on the other person on deck, a female of divine beauty who had captivated his heart and shut down all mental functions with but a single glance. It had taken much of his willpower to bring his body back under his control and not become a drooling mess like most of his crew. His quartermistress was decidedly not pleased with what she saw and was muttering obscenities under her breath while shooting murderous glares at everyone. After getting everything back in order, he put on his most welcoming face and called out to the two below. The plan was simple. Approach them as a friendly sailor, invite them on the ship, send some men to sneak on board the sloop and loot anything of value, offer those invited onto the ship a chance to join his crew, kill those who refuse, and in the case of the blonde woman, keep her for himself. It was a solid plan with not much that could go wrong. His voice had woken the two sleeping on deck. He initially found it weird for them to sleep out on the uncomfortable floor, but soon understood as to the reason why. The weather was simply perfect, there was plenty of cloud cover to diminish the harsh rays of the sun, and a chilled breeze was in the air. He had seen his own crew members get drowsy every now and then and was contemplating taking a nap later by setting up a hammock. Who the hell are you? To the captain's chagrin, it was the boy who responded and not the woman who was gazing out at sea with a half-lidded expression, not paying him even the slightest bit of attention. How does fortune favor you on this fine day? It didn't matter if the woman wasn't looking his way. All he had to do was play nice with the child and everything would work out. What? This is why I hate dealing with children. They have no appreciation for fine speech. It means, how are you? Oh, then why didn't you say that, old man? Old, I've been called many things, sometimes good but mostly bad, but this is the first time anyone has called me old. I've barely reached the end of my prime, young one. It isn't polite to address someone that way. Meh, whatever, old man. The nerve. Since when did children become so disrespectful? Say, you want to trade ships? Yours looks cool, so I want it. The captain was initially vexed by the retard's words. Not only did he say something stupid, he said it with a bored, nonchalant voice. But as he thought about it, he figured he could use it in his favor. I'm afraid I don't follow. Trade ships. It's not that easy, my boy. Hey, that's lame. You suck, old man. Which, now, don't be like that. The world simply does not work that way. But, if you're so insistent on procuring a larger vessel, I can be of some help. Why don't you and that lovely lady over there board my ship and we discuss the matter in my cabin over a nice cup of tea? A normal, sensible adult would never fall for such words. One does not simply offer to help other for free, after all. The captain did not think the red-haired child was capable of higher-level thinking, so he gave a ridiculous offer, one the naive retard would no doubt take up. The woman seemed to be on the verge of falling asleep, so he figured she wouldn't have paid much attention to what was said and would go along with the younger male's decision. Nah, we're cool out here. The wind's pretty good. Plus, now that I think about it, your ship probably stinks of old men, so we'll pass. Twitch. I know a great deal of master shipwrights and merchants who can make or get you a ship that can surpass my own. A word from me and you'll have the greatest ship to sail these majestic oceans in no time. I welcome you to come onto my ship for further discussion. That sounded incredibly stupid. I cannot believe I said something so dim-witted. But the boy is an imbecile. Surely something like this will be enough to convince him. And that's great and all, but why can't you tell me now? Why do we have to get on your ship? I may have underestimated him, he is sharper than I gave him credit for. Though, that could also be attributed to him finally being fully awake. But, no matter, there are ways to deal with his type. I had a feeling you would prefer to discuss such matters in a more comfortable environment. Also, it's not every day that you run into another ship and I always make a point of bringing those I meet aboard for a nice chat. It helps me meet new people and forge connections for the future. After he was done speaking, the captain waited for the younger retard's response with the confidence that he'll accept the invitation. When you put it like that, no. The child's eyes had sharpened, and he was looking straight into the captain's eyes with an intensity that would make a lesser man flinch, but he was no lesser man. He was the maelstrom and he would be damned before he let himself be frightened by a child. Oh? What makes you say that? He had expected the child to answer him with some derogatory remark followed by some cheap words and obscenities. What he did not expect, however, was for his eyes to become colder and stare into his with an increased intensity. Truly, he admitted, he had underestimated this child, but he could not back down and, therefore, met his stare head-on with his own. The air had become heavy and thick with tension. The two males were locked into a battle of wills, their gazes were sharper than any knife and their minds faster than any avian. Through their eyes alone, they were fighting an unseen battle, and soon one of them would be forced to admit defeat. That moment came when the captain averted his eyes, swore and then began glaring heatedly at the younger male. "Who are you? Someone with eyes like yours would have been well known in these waters. State your name and the reason why you rejected my earlier proposal." He had to know. The child had seen through him, no doubt, but that was impossible. He had spent years mastering his abilities and was one of the best at deceiving in the world. Yet a child, no, he couldn't be called a child. Eyes like his could never belong to someone so young. "My name is Naruto and I don't need to explain anything to a devil." Devil? He had been called that numerous times in the past, but the word had never been uttered with as much venom as it had been just now. He didn't get a chance to respond as Naruto had resumed speaking. "I'm surprised someone like you is so far from the underworld. I didn't believe it at first, but the more time I spent talking to you, the more obvious it became that you and everyone on your ship is a devil. You all give off the same feeling, and I've lived more than enough years with your kind to recognize a devil anywhere." Underworld. Devil kind. The captain could vaguely recall those words from some Christian texts he read years ago. He had been interested in reading about a religion that many around the world followed, but was quickly disappointed by the lack of evidence to support the various biblical tales. To him, it was nothing more than a storybook for children. The only devil-related thing that was proven to be real was the devil fruits. Naruto looked like he had more to say, but was interrupted by his blonde companion. "Naruto, they are humans, not devils." "You're wrong. They're devils, I can tell. They give off the same feeling so they have to be." The captain watched the woman sigh and shake her head. She cupped the younger Redeed's hands with her own and spoke to him in a slow, soothing manner. "I have lived for many millennia and have seen countless devils. I was there during the fall of Lucifer, the father of all devil kind. I've spoken to many devils and have fought and killed countless more. Believe me when I say that those people up there are human, ones with their hearts darkened by evil, but humans nonetheless. But the feeling is something we shall discuss later. For now, let us deal with the situation at hand. Our audience is getting quite agitated." She was right. The captain and his crew had been observing the exchange and were bewildered by the woman's words. She talked of things that were only found in stories as if they were the truth and even claimed to live for over a millennium. The captain had enough of it. "Enough with all this rubbish. I had thought the two of you would have more use than being another tally on my body count, but it's clear the two of you are a simple waste of time. Men, we have wasted enough time. Finish them off." "Aye, Captain. What's gotten into them?" Naruto asked while seeing the captain walk off and the rest of the men scrambling about. Some were taking off their clothes while others were putting more on. Everyone was getting weapons. This must be what they call a pirate ship. Irate. Yes, though I have a feeling we are not thinking of the same thing. From what I have heard they are akin to bandits. Instead of villages, they plunder ships instead. Oh, so they're bad guys. Some pirates are vigilantes who help those in need while breaking the laws of their area, while most are thieves and murderers. Seeing as these men are arming themselves against us, they are the latter and are, therefore, bad guys. I see. Hey, you think the feeling I got was them being bad? It is a possibility. We will have to look into it later, but for now, we should prepare for combat. Are you capable of fighting? A little. I sometimes used to sneak peeks at the guards while they were training, so I know some stuff. That should be enough. I cannot use my powers with you so close, so I will be fighting like a normal human. My base strength as an archangel should be more than enough to deal with these people, so do not put yourself under any unnecessary risk by confronting the enemy directly. Stay behind me and only engage if they slip past me and attack you. Do you understand? On was the gentle clumsy woman, and in her place stood someone who had commanded scores of angels during the Great War and had slain countless devils, heaven's strongest woman Archangel Gabriel. While not preferring to stay back and let his friend do the fighting, the commanding aura and overbearing presence Gabriel exuded at that moment did not allow Naruto to even think of going against her. She was the commander while he was a simple soldier under her command. He could not defy her even if he wanted to. Oh okay. Excellent. Now then, let me teach these people to not pick a fight with heaven's strongest angel and her friend. After directing a confident smile at him, Gabriel leaped into action literally. A single jump was enough to almost sink her own ship while elevating her far above the galleon. She was far enough from Naruto to open up her pocket inventory and pull out an ordinary bronze spear in a split second before descending onto the ship. The pirates on the deck had yet to recover from the shock of seeing someone jump so high when Gabriel landed in their midst and began stabbing and hacking those around her at a speed far faster than which the pirates could keep up with. Is this all you are capable of? I have yet to get serious. Note to self. Never stand next to Gabriel when she jumps. Ah. Ouch. That must hurt. Gabriel's really handing it to those pirates, huh? Well, she is heaven's strongest angel. Wait, if she's the strongest angel then why is Michiel their leader? Shouldn't she be the leader of angels since she's the strongest person there besides God? Ah. Damn it. I forgot about that. Stupid huge guy in the sky with his stupid rules. But seriously, what's up with the name Pirate? Do they have pies? Or do they rate them? Or are they the price of the pie? The human world's really confusing. I should get going as well since I can't really see anything from down here. And I gotta help Gabriel. But what will I help her with? She's way stronger and faster than me, even when she isn't using her holy energy and can use spears. Those pirates should be easy to beat, so I don't really have to do anything. I could go watch her back. One of those pirates might get a lucky shot in, so I've gotta at least try to stop those. Alright. I've made up my mind. But wait, how do I get on the big ship? Gabriel jumped, so that's a way. I can't jump that high, but my instincts are telling me I can. They didn't fail me when it came to transformation, substitution, and wall walking. They did betray me when I tried walking on water, so maybe they aren't that right. But then again, 3 out of 4 is better than nothing, so I might as well give it a go. Alright. I've made up my mind again. Now how do I do this? It's like wall walking, but with pushing instead of sticking. I don't know if I want to know how I knew that. Damn, that was confusing. My head is weird. Should I have Gabriel check it? Nah. Knowing her, my head's gonna blow up as soon as she touches it. Ah, I'm getting distracted. Focus, Naruto. Gabriel needs you, not really, so you gotta get up there fast. Let's see, focus on my feet, guide that weird watery feeling to make me stick on the ground, then increase it, keep on increasing it, and then release it. Crack, snap, I did it. I'm in the air, wait, I'm not going up. Why is that ship side getting closer? Oh, this is gonna hurt. Smack, ugh, splash. Do not say what I think you're going to say. Whatever do you mean, Captain? I was merely going to congratulate you on your plan's failure and say you should have done things like normal. Damn it, why did you have to say it? Someone needs to talk sense into you every now and then. Better it is me than some grunt who you'd end up killing and decrease the crew's morale. Sometimes I hate it when you're right. You made me your quartermaster, so deal with it. So got pissed at someone who believes in religion. You have no idea. The way those two kept talking about it was giving me a headache. How can anyone seriously believe in unseen beings governing over the world? The only gods that exist are Gal D. Robert and his rival graybeard, men of immense power who rule the seas. The two lords. I can see why you would liken them to gods. Just thinking about what those are capable of sends shivers down my spine. Indeed. Now then, the men should be done dealing with those fools and plundering their ship. Shall go have a look. Despite having said that, what greeted the two were not rejoicing pirates, a red-deed and blonde tied up, their corpses are a small fortune. Pandemonium is what they beheld while witnessing the blonde woman from the sloop making quick work of their crew with a simple spear. Wow, what is going on here? The captain couldn't help it. While his crew might not be on the same level as many of the higher-ranking, legendary pirates, they were still very capable. To see them taken down like this was a huge blow to his pride. Captain? She's a demon. She flew in the air and started killing everyone as soon as she landed on the ship. How untruthful. I am merely making them unfit for further fighting. They are all still very much alive. Whack. The woman had heard his subordinate speak and had struck him on the head with her spear. Seeing a grown, well-built man crumple to the ground like that at the hands of someone who looked more like a princess than a warrior made it clear that this woman was dangerous and not to be taken lightly. Now that the woman was close to him, he got a better look at her features. Her beauty was even more breathtaking than before, and not a single one of her golden locks were out of place even after fighting against his crew. I have been searching for you. I take it you are the captain of this unruly bunch. Seeing as he had been directly addressed, the captain compassed himself as much as possible and answered, "Indeed. Who might you be? A woman as beautiful as yourself must have an equally beautiful name to identify herself with. Oh? I am surprised you have the gall to speak to me in such a way after ordering the deaths of my friend and me. That you do not have any need to speak. I will simply take care of you like the rest of your men." The woman, who had until now been speaking normally, suddenly exuded a presence and killing intent that far surpassed his own. It was enough to freeze him in place, so he was unable to act when the woman struck her spear towards him. Clang. Ah. The spear struck his flesh, but it was off target. Instead of its original mark, his heart, it had been lodged in his shoulder. By a stroke of luck, his quartermistress had been fast enough to deflect the spear in time and save his life. He wondered how she had overcome the paralyzing fear the woman before them had no doubt brought her, and was answered by the sight of her bleeding palm. She dug into her own flesh with her nail. The momentary pain had given her control over her body, so she was able to save me in time. Thank. The captain never got finished thanking his subordinate. He was interrupted by the one who had a spear lodged in his body. Oh, my. To think there was actually someone capable of fighting on this vessel. You haven't seen anything yet. For daring to attack Captain, I will have you relinquish your life. The blonde spear wielder gave the quartermistress an amused look. You are quite arrogant in assuming that I will fall under your blade. I will warn you now, this is the first time I am having to control myself in a fight, so I am unused to it. My control can slip at any moment and your life will be forfeit when it does. Surrender now and save yourself from an untimely demise. Oh, screw yourself. I'd rather die than stand down before someone who threatened the captain. Such loyalty is admirable. However, it will do you no good against me. The blonde pulled her spear out of the reed, causing him to wince and turned to face his quartermistress. The two women with the same hair and eye color, though the quartermistresses were a shade or two lighter, sized each other up and were looking for an opening to attack from. The captain was watching with wary eyes. He had full faith in his quartermistress's skills, but the woman had proven herself to be a force to be reckoned with, so he wasn't sure if that skill was enough to achieve victory. Splat. The tension was broken by the new arrival on the ship. I had to walk up the ship in the end. Good thing Gabriel taught me how to swim because I would have drowned after falling into the water. Now, what do we have here? Damn, that must hurt, and that guy's crying is that crap. And why is that guy rubbing his penis and injured thigh at the same time? It's weird and those guys are all knocked out and there's that annoying guy from before some girl and boy, Gabriel. Naruto. You just arrived. And why are you wet? Ah, I tried to jump in the air like you did, but I hit the ship instead and fell into the water. I had to swim to the ship and then walk up to it. That explains the wetness. As for the delay, I had begun to think you had tried to make me happy by not putting yourself in danger at all by staying behind. But I can't let you do everything alone. Hence why I allowed you to come along on the condition you did not engage the enemy directly and only if they attacked you. Is she scolding me? What did I do? I just got here. But that's boring. Let me fight as well. Absolutely not. The only enemies left are these two and they are the strongest among the pirates. They are too dangerous for you to face, so I shall deal with them alone. If you wish to fight then I shall gladly spar with you later. She totally brushed me off. Come on, Gabriel. I can totally take any of these guys on. Swish, clang, clang, swish, clang. Whoa, that's really cool. Gabriel's doing great but the other woman's not bad either. Too bad she can't do anything against Gabriel. This is boring. Just watching isn't any fun. I want to do something, damn it. But what? I can't fight since that'll make Gabriel mad. I can't keep watching because it's really boring. What to do? Ooh. I know. I can explore the ship. Gabriel won't have anything to say about that. Well, she might, but it's her fault that I'm doing this, so it's okay. Now if I were a ship entrance, where would I be? That staircase in the center is too obvious, so that can't be it. The fancy door up those stairs isn't also it for the same reason. I should walk around to see if there's another way in. Clang, clang, swoosh, crash. Things are really heating up back there. I wonder if Gabriel's doing fine. Who am I kidding? Of course she's fine. The person she's fighting isn't as strong as her, so she can't do anything to her, and what are the chances of the red guy having a mysterious power and using it to catch Gabriel off guard? 0. Gabriel was confused. One moment she was fighting a rather skilled opponent and the next she was sent crashing into a stack of crates by a sudden gust that appeared out of nowhere. While not injured, she was quite put out at having been blindsided like that. She was an archangel and, even without using any of her holy powers or angelic strength, far above any human when it comes to combat. It wasn't a boast on her part, just a simple fact. While the woman Gabriel was fighting had proven herself to be formidable with a saber, it was nothing she couldn't handle and as such, she was toying with her to prolong the fight. Such an act would normally be unfitting of her, but with Naruto watching, she wanted to show off and have him see a cooler side of her. That had come to bite her back spectacularly, as by being so caught up in making a grand show for her friend, she failed to notice the impending attack until just before it hit her. Granted, it did come from her blind spot, but that was no excuse for her negligence. That was a foolish error on my part. I should have been more vigilant. Oh no, what does Naruto think? I was doing my best to fight gracefully for him and ended up being made a fool of. How embarrassing. Any further thoughts were cut off by the captain's words which broke the silence that had ensued the deck. Hayes K's no me. Gale palm. Gabriel saw the attack, a large formation of violent air currents in the shape of a palm, heading her way and rolled to the side to avoid it. The attack tore through the wooden crates before dissipating into the air. Oh? Your reflexes are quite good to have dodged my attack. I am surprised to see a wizard this far out at sea. You people normally remain in your secret societies and academies, so I cannot fathom why you would be commandeering a pirate ship unless there are more of you amongst the crew. The captain, much to her surprise, began to cackle loudly after hearing her. His laughter rang across the deck and continued to reverberate for some time. It was starting to get on her nerves. "Wizard?" the captain asked after compassing himself. "Those crippled old men who wield staffs and command the elements. They're nothing more than a part of some fairy tale. What I wield is true power and not some fabrication made for the sake of entertainment. My power is that of the K's no me, the wind devil fruit." The captain expected fear, awe, disbelief or any combination of the three to show on Gabriel's face. It was a given, after all, since devil fruit users are amongst the strongest beings to be found at sea. Each pirate bestowed with the power of the mysterious fruits has made a name for himself, and many are capable of decimating entire naval fleets single-handedly. What he did not expect was the simple tit of her head, her eyes blank and her mouth opening to utter a single sound. "Eh? What do you mean, eh? Don't you realize exactly who and what you're up against?" "Not really. What you are telling me sounds like something from a children's book. Devil fruit. Such a dim-witted name. Which, how dare you undermine the might of the ultimate source of power. Eating one makes you a literal king of the seas. No ordinary mortal can stand against those who consume one. What's more, I possess a logia, the rarest and most powerful class of devil fruits. Pardon the insult, but I do not see how any of that is important. From what I have seen, you ingested some substance which gave you the ability to manipulate wind, yes. While it may be a fearsome ability for one such as yourself, you will have to forgive me for doubting your claims of ultimate power when apprentice-level Magi can perform similar feats with multiple elements, if I may add, which makes your ability less special than it is." The captain was silent for a while before fierce winds began blowing around him, raising debris in the air and knocking away fallen members of his crew. His gaze bore into Gabriel and promised nothing but death. "K's no me. Vicious lice." The horizontal wave of wind rushed towards the angel with a gesture of the Redeed's arm. Gabriel hopped up to avoid the attack and then sidestepped a vertical wave of the same kind. She then dashed to the side to dodge a flurry of smaller slashes and got on the ground to let another horizontal wave fly over her before pushing herself away from the ground to avoid a large wall of wind. She landed in front of her adversaries in a smooth motion with a calm expression on her face. "Is that all?" she asked a large man who was showing signs of exhaustion after such a liberal use of his power. "I'm not even close to being done," he proclaimed as he outstretched both of his hands and pointed them at her. His quartermistress understood what he was about to do and quickly brought out a dozen throwing knives from the pouch attached to her waist. "K's no me. Twin." His words were cut off by the sudden burst of immense killing intent from deep within his ship, followed by the sounds of wood breaking, which was growing louder until the floor of the deck burst open and his torturer, Luke, was shot into the air. "Light, I'm in. Did they really think a locked door could stop me? Muhahaha. Ahem, now then, what do I do now? I came inside without plan, didn't I? Gabriel's going to scold me when she finds out, isn't she? Damn it. I'll be lectured after everything's over. This sucks, but it's not like I can do anything about it now. I'll apologize later. I might as well look around the place since I came in and all. If I'm lucky there'll be some pirates inside for me to fight. Now, where should I look first? There's a hallway that leads away from this place on one side and a flight of stairs heading down on the other. I can't look everywhere with the time I have, so I'll have to choose between them. Hallway, stairs, hallway, stairs, hallway, stairs. I think I'll go with the stairs. Nobles have all their good stuff hidden in the basement of their manors. These pirates don't seem so different from them, so they probably do the same thing as well, which means down is the way to go if I want to find something cool. Don't. What was that? I heard something just now. Please. That's a person's voice. But where did it come from? I heard it from everywhere at once. No. It's getting louder the closer I get to the stairs. Don't hurt him. Someone's in trouble. I have to help them. Mother, I'm scared. I have to move faster. Arg. Leave him alone. Shut up, Mother. Pastor. If I don't hurry then they'll die. What should we do with them? The females are rather good so they're obvious. The sons, not so much. We could throw them overboard and let them sleep with the fishes. I believe I have a better idea. That was that captain guy. What's he doing down here? Shouldn't he be outside fighting Gabriel? Did he run away? Damn it. Where are the voices coming from? There are only empty rooms here. I'll have to go further down. What the hell do you want, bastard? Boy, is that any way to talk your elders? We can talk to you any way we want, you piece of shit. Both of you? It seems your parents did a poor job at raising you. No matter, I'll be sure to have my men drive into your heads exactly what happens when you go against your superiors. Where? Where? Where is everyone? This place is empty. I. Ha ha ha. Yes, scream louder. Hug, splash. No, no, no. You're not blacking out on us. Stay awake through it all like your brother. Damn you, what was that? I should be rougher. Well, if you say so. Ah. Where are they? Where are you? Can you hear me? I'm here to save you. You bastards will never get anything out of my husband. He's strong, far stronger than you filthy swine. Slap, don't talk big, bitch. Your husband will break like all the men before him. Spit shows what you know. Only real men have the courage to stand firm against the oppressive. If any of you were in his place, you'd blab at the first chance you get to save your hides, since every one of you is a spineless coward. You. Why are you getting mad? Does the truth hurt? Did the big bad pirate get his feelings hurt? Watch your mouth, woman. We've been nice to you so far, but if you push your luck, we'll do what? You captured my entire family, took my husband away to torture him for information, and separated me from my children, because of which I don't know what's happening to them. For all I know, you barbarians killed them and now it's my turn. Well, you know what? I won't go down sniveling. I'll defy you bastards till my last breath, just like my husband is defying your captain at this moment. Slap. Ugh, you talk too much, bitch. Who the hell do you think you are? Acting all high and mighty like that. Wenches like you are only good for one thing. Yeah. Let's get started already. You think I'm afraid of you? How do your worst, you damn apes. Hell, I doubt you can even get it up or in with how small you all are. You. What happened to those guys from before? What are they going to do to the lady? Don't you dare hurt her. When I get my hands on you guys, you're going to wish you never touched her or any of them in the first place. But where are they? I don't see anyone here. Sniff sniff, please mister, let me and my family go please. Now that won't be possible, my dear. Why? You see, young girl, your father has some very important information that is vital for my goals. And until he gives it to me, you and the rest of your family will remain as my guests. Sob, then if we're guests, why did you hurt my mother and brother? Tell me, what happens to children who misbehave? Do they get punished? Exactly. Your mother and brother were misbehaving on my ship and so, like all naughty children, they were punished. They are also being punished now. What are you doing to them? That's none of your concern. Young girl, do you like candy? Yes, wonderful. You see, I received a large crate of some of the most delicious candy in the world recently. I will give you some if you promise to be a good girl and wait for your family's punishment to be over with. Really? Yes, all you have to do is promise. I promise. Don't take anything from him. That guy's no good. What's the point of me even saying it? It's not like there's anyone here. Damn it, what's wrong with me? I have to be reaching the very bottom by now. If there's nothing here, then wait, what's that? Stains? They're really dark and fresh. They're all over the place. In the hallways, the rooms, and especially on those tools and weapons. Don't tell me this is blood. There's blood everywhere. That's right. There's someone here. That voice just now was too clear and close by for it to be my imagination. But more than that, I feel disgusted. Like something's crawling under my skin. The feeling I had before on our ship is stronger here. In fact, it had been getting stronger the deeper I went, the more voices I heard. I'm only noticing it now. You're a strange kid. I heard you shouting from all the way down here. What's wrong? Who are you talking to? Who's there? Step. Whoa, that guy's huge. And his clothes, they're the same color as the walls and floor, they're covered in blood. So are the huge knife-like swords he's holding. And beside him, what are those? Growl. 2 large creatures are next to him. They look really ferocious and there's blood on their mouths. Who are you? The name's Luke. I'm the guy in charge of this area. Though the better question is, who are your aunt? Not gonna answer. Even after I told you my name. Bah, forget it. So tell me, how'd you get down here, intruder? What is this place? Hey now, that ain't how it works. You can't just ask me stuff without answering yourself. But, since I'm a nice guy, I'll tell you anyway. This is the torture zone, where I can have fun breaking shits like you all day long. I was cleaning the place up from the mess we made with the last group, a family of 5, when I heard you shouting. Torture zone torture. It burns. Kill us. Ahahahaha. Please stop. Shut up, bitch. Now that we're done, it's time to get rid of you. No, chop. Hey, mister, can I have more candy? Come on, give me more. If you don't, then I'll hit the doggies. Haha. I'm going to hit them. Come here, doggy. Mister. The doggy bit me. Growl, crunch, wail. Ahahaha. Mister, the doggies are eating me. Crunch, munch, sob. Is t the doggy. Snap. Ah. What's wrong, runt? You feeling uncomfortable? I said torture. My head's hurting. I feel like someone's trying to split in half. Sounds and scenes are appearing and none of it is making any sense. Stop. Someone make it stop. Boy. That guy won't shut up. I'll kill him. 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 Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Hey, don't tell me you're actually insane. Shut up. Kill. Shut up. Kill. Shut up. Don't you dare talk to me like that. Bull, farch, sick him you mangy mutts. RRRGHHH. Woof. Why do you make this harder on yourself, friend? Just tell us where you hid O's a Pelowid's compass and we'll set you free. Aha, my family, you bastards, what did you do to my family? Your family? If you must know, my men, as per my instructions, have taken care of them for the duration of your stay here. They're perfectly safe, I assure you. Never. Oh, so you won't disclose the information? Not even for your family? My answer is still no. Well, that is quite a shame. And here I thought you actually cared about your family. I guess they were fools for thinking you'd save them. Your sons were very defiant, such valiant young lads. That valor didn't last much once we started skinning them alive. Their screams gave my men a morale boost, and they only got louder once we started dipping their bodies in acid. Your wife was a feisty one. She was so sure that you would come save her and repeatedly insulted my men with that mouth of hers. The same mouth was then screaming for them to stop while they spent an entire day pounding her. Sadly, all good things must come to an end, and for her, it was after we dismembered her. And last but not least, your daughter. My men were already raping your wife, so it wouldn't have been creative of us to do the same with her, or even the right thing as some of us have standards. Instead, we addled her mind with an entire crate worth of drugs and pitted her against our hounds. Even being torn to shreds did not stop her laughter and demented sentences. It was quite an entertaining spectacle if I do say so myself. If you want proof, then here it is. None of this would have happened if you told me where the compass was when we first met. The blood of your family is on your hands and your hands alone. So you did possess the Conqueror's hockey. Though it seems you weren't aware of it and therefore don't know how to properly use it, Anton D. William. It's a shame that someone of your talent has to go out like this. With your heritage and hidden power, you could have been among the strongest men that sail these waters. Instead, you chose to whittle your life away in the shadows of an archaeologist. It's time for me to conclude this little meeting of ours. I have places to be, people to meet and hidden compasses to find. This is the end, William. I would say it's been a pleasure knowing you, but that would be a lie and I never tell more than half a lie. Crunch. It hurts. My arm and head, they hurt. Jai. What's wrong? What are you spacing out for, brat? Slam. Ugh, I'm feeling pain. Why am I feeling pain? Tear. Stop it, you damn mutts. It's no fun if you kill him. Step back, I'm going to have some fun. I ran away to escape the pain. I ran away so I wouldn't get hurt. It's you and me now. Slam bash. What was the point? What's changed? Slap. Why won't you make any noise? Slap. What's my purpose? What am I alive for? Bash. Say something. Maybe I should just. Pathetic. You're so pathetic. I know, and you're fine with that. Why not? It's not like I can do anything. I'm too weak. I'm scared of facing more pain. It'd be better to just die. Nothing's changed from back then. Then change. What? If you're too weak, too frightened, then become strong. Why? What's the point? I have no reason to become strong. You won't get hurt. The strong can withstand anything. But won't I get hurt while trying to become strong? It won't be easy. I never said it would be a comfy journey. The best things in life can only be attained by striving for them. Then why bother living? If good things only come through pain, then what's the point? So you would rather throw your life away? Yeah. Even if it'll hurt those close to you? What do you mean? Your friend, for instance. She would be deeply saddened if you died. Gabriel. Why would she be sad if I die? I'm only a burden to her. If it weren't for me, she wouldn't have left heaven. If I die, she won't be forced to look after me and can return home. Is that what you really think? Or have you fallen so low that you can no longer see what's in front of you? Listen, that angel doesn't stick with you out of any obligation. She honestly considers you her friend. She left heaven to be with you, not because she was forced to. But why? I'm not strong. I'm not brave. I'm nothing special. Why would someone like her want to be friends with me? This moron, you're asking me why she'd want to be with you. It's obvious, isn't it? You accepted her. You looked past her position in history and accepted her for who she is. And as for the rest, would a weakling enter a battlefield to help their friend despite knowing how outclassed they are? Would a coward rush blindly into enemy territory to save someone they don't know? And as for not being special, who's to say you aren't? You're special to quite a few people and that's what matters. What would you do if Gabriel's in danger? She's stronger than anyone out there. She can do anything. There's no way she'd be in danger, unlike me. What if she faces someone stronger than her? That won't. What if she loses to them and is about to be killed? What would you do then? That won't happen. And if it does? I'll protect her. What was that? I couldn't quite hear you. I said I'll protect her, damn it. And how will you do that? You're, like you said, weak. What chance will you have at stopping someone stronger than her? I'll become stronger than her, stronger than the one who beat her. I'll become stronger than everyone else so that she'll never get killed. There's your reason. Become strong, if not for yourself, then those precious to you. You can do that, right? I can, that's right, I can do that. I can become strong enough to protect her. But how will I do that? Become strong? You know how without even being aware of it. Search within the very depths of your mind, body and souls and you'll find the answer. Mind, body and soul, that doesn't make any sense. It will. Now stop wasting time and fight. Naruto's eyes snapped open. The young devil had been knocked unconscious by Luke, who was throwing him across the room for sport. He was in midair when he woke up, so he quickly adjusted himself to land safely on the floor. Oh? You awake already? That was fast. I got tired of you not reacting, so I was trying different ways to make you feel pain. But now that you're awake, he lifts up his large curved swords and gives a nasty grin towards the young redeed. I can have more fun. Disgusting. You're disgusting, piece of shit. I'm trying hard to stay awake because of your stench. Please do me a favor and go drown yourself out in the water. Why ya? Luke lost the ability to speak once Naruto looked up at him. His blue eyes had darkened and were far more frigid than an iceberg. It unnerved him. Brats do not have eyes like those, he thought. You know, I don't really understand what's happening. My head's a mess and I want nothing more than to sleep with my head resting in Gabriel's lap. But, before I can do that, I have to make you pay for what you've done to all the innocent people that have been brought here. You, companions, and your captain, all of you will pay. Ha! I'd like to see you try. Luke charged at Naruto with his swords raised for an overhead swing. The younger male stepped out of the way and planted his fist in the older man's stomach. Ah! Luke fell to his knees and lost his grip over his swords. Naruto's attack had caused him to expel all the air in his lungs, thereby causing him to take deep labored breaths. It's strange. I feel like I'm not in control of my body. It's moving on its own, doing things I couldn't do before. Is that what the voice meant? Mind, body, and soul, it told me to look deep inside myself. I don't quite understand it, but there's this feeling. I know what to do but not how to do it. Deeper, this energy in my body, it's different from what devils and angels use. Deeper, it's something I was born with. Deeper, its name is Deeper Chakra. Chakra, huh? Never heard of it. How messed up is that? I'm using something I didn't know existed. But I think I get it now. This chakra, it lets me transform, switch places, walk on walls. It'll also let me become stronger than I am. What are you talking about? You seem crazier the longer I'm around you. Oh? Are you better already? That was fast. I got tired of you just sitting here, so I began talking to myself since it was so boring. Huh. Damn brat, I'll make you eat those words. Bull, farch. Dinner. The two dogs that were nearby sprinted towards Naruto, intent on tearing him to shreds and feasting on his corpse. The Redeed watched them make their way towards him with a disinterested expression. Just when they were within biting range, he jumped up to avoid them but never came down. What in the name of Davy Jones' locker? You, how are you sticking to the ceiling? It's not just them, I can hear those who came before. You starved them, beat them, performed unspeakable acts on everyone, whether they be man, woman or child. They're calling out to me, they're screaming for your death. You stop with the crazy blabbing, you freak. Luke grabbed his swords and swung them upwards. Naruto rolled out of the way to avoid the attack, his body still attached to the ceiling despite the sudden movement. He swiftly placed his feet on the flat ends of the swords and with all his might, pushed them downwards and onto one of the dogs. It was bisected from the center and didn't even give out a whimper before it died. Ah. Flang. Naruto's actions had the unsuspected result of robbing Luke the use of his hands, since the force he used was enough to snap the bones of the man's wrists. Does it hurt? It hurts, yeah. You hurt me and so many others. How does it feel to have that pain turn to you? Damn ya. Naruto let go of the ceiling and landed feet first on top of the head of the second dog. Splatter. The canine's skull was crushed, its blood and brain matter spread all over the floor, walls and the two males. I put too much strength into that one. Luke stared open-mouthed at the blood-covered teen. He was performing feats the likes of which he'd never seen before and had more power than any boy his age and size. It wasn't normal, he screamed in his head. The boy was a monster. Yeah, you're a devil fruit or hockey user, aren't you? That's the why you can do all that, right? He stammered. He wanted an explanation, anything to put his mind at ease. Devil fruit and hockey were the only sources of beyond human ability he knew of and were the only known ones throughout the world. If those weren't the reasons, then the redeed was no human. Devil fruit. Never heard of it. Is it delicious? Naruto asked with the beginnings of a smirk forming on his face. He felt so alive at the moment, so free, so conflicted. He felt like a different person yet he wasn't. He felt at ease and a sense of familiarity with his newfound power, yet it was alien to him. It felt right yet wrong yet right. He didn't know what to make of it all, so he settled for ending the fight. I'll kill ya, monster. Luke charged at him. Well, he could no longer use his hands, he could still knock the younger male to the ground and break his body by stomping on it. That was his plan. He may even have succeeded were it not for Naruto seeing through it right from the start. He cocked his right fist back and lowered himself. He waited for the larger man to get within striking range and immediately got within his guard and struck with a chakra-enhanced uppercut. Die. Boom. Gabriel watched the large man come flying out of the floor with a morbid fascination. He landed with a painful thud and, surprisingly, was still alive. Though, she mused, I would not consider leading the rest of my life without a single functioning joint or intact bone as living. But surprised, more like horrified, her even more though was Naruto leaping out of the same hole with his clothes covered in blood and his right arm hanging limp. He was also having trouble standing, which led her to believe his legs were damaged as well. All in all, he looked like a mess and she could not see the sweet innocent boy she befriended, he had been replaced by a hardened warrior. Naruto. He spared her a glance, acknowledging her presence, before fixing his stare on the only other man standing on deck, the captain. Well, what is the meaning of this? The captain was appalled by the state of one of his best subordinates. Luke was barely alive, but death would be a better alternative with the way his body was. He never imagined a day would come when Luke the Terrible, crusher of men, women and children alike, would be broken in such a manner. Yo, you're the captain of this ship, right? The one who had defeated Luke addressed him casually. But his eyes, they were sharper than steel and were directed at his own, unblinking, watching him intently. You already know the answer to that question. Tell me, are you the one responsible for my subordinate's current state? He asked, gesturing to Luke's unconscious form. Yeah, I did that. The same thing's gonna happen to you after you answer a question of mine. Why did you torture all those people? What? You heard me. Why did you torture all of those innocent people? What could you have possibly gained from doing it? The captain looked at the younger male incredibly. He was stumped by the question. Stumped by the naivety behind it. The boy possesses the strength to utterly destroy a man more than 3 times his size, yet he doesn't know of one of the most common practices at sea. It was enough to almost make him laugh. Scratch that, he actually did end up laughing. Wahahaha. Why I had them tortured, you ask? Boy, you are nothing but a child if you don't know the answer to that. Aside from gathering information, torture is the best way to satisfy the urges of a group of bloodthirsty killers. Inflicting pain curbs their need for violence, committing sexual assault handles their lust, and the sheer act of watching others suffer serves as entertainment. Without torture, us pirates would quickly turn on each other when waiting for weeks between raids. Those people are nothing more than spoils we attained, and like all goods, they were made use of. How deplorable. You degenerates would destroy the lives of others simply to sate your own needs and desires. There is a special place in purgatory for people such as yourselves, and I intend of personally sending you there. Gabriel was angry. She could hardly remember the last time she felt this way, but that didn't matter. What mattered was how low these humans, her father's favored creations, had fallen. They no longer had the right to be called children of Adam, and she would rid the world of them. Wait, Gabriel. Naruto. Why do you stop me? This man, I know. I can hear them. Their screams, pleas, and resignation. I can hear it all. I also hear them telling me to do it. They want me to get rid of him. Who? What are you speaking of, Naruto? She never got an answer because her friend had begun running towards the captain. The until now silent quartermistress appeared partway to intercept him. You will not proceed any further, boy, she said with her blade poised to stab Naruto's throat. Out of my way. There was a puff of smoke, and the quartermistress found herself ahead of her original position with the reed she was aiming for behind her. Naruto, not wasting any time, executed a high kick on the back of her head, which knocked her to the ground and broke the bones in the lower part of her face. Fortunately for her, she was knocked out instantly and was saved from any follow-up pain. "You're next." The captain had seen his second-in-command downed with frightening ease. The apathetic eyes of the who dealt with her had yet to leave his own as their owner closed in on him. It made him angry. The way those eyes regarded him, the way they dismissed his very being, all of it enraged him. "Don't get cocky, brat. You're 100 years too early to be threatening me, let alone fighting me. K's know me." Twin tornado. A pair of violent twisting columns of wind erupted from his palms. He directed them towards Naruto and made them join together by connecting his palms. The result was a massive tornado that tore through the floorboards of the deck before impacting against Naruto. A normal person would have been blown away and torn to shreds by the debris in the tornado, but the young chakra user was not normal. By utilizing his chakra, he stuck himself to the floor to avoid being blown away and reinforced his body just enough to limit most of the damage by the tornado. Despite surviving the initial impact of the attack, Naruto had to put all his effort into defending against the continuous stream of wind. He was making sure to keep his body rigid to prevent any part of it from snapping backward while slowly inching forward at the same time. The captain noticed this and increased the power of his move. His target, in response, increased the amount of chakra he was using, but his body was not used to using so much in a short burst, so he was quickly approaching his limit. It's futile to struggle. I don't know what trick you're using, but it's obvious you're exhausted. You are only walking towards a painful death. Surrender now and I may consider making it as swift and painless as possible. Why won't you answer? Oh, that's right, you can't. It's taking all of your concentration to withstand my ultimate attack. Your determination is commendable, but you'll soon be dead and all of your efforts will be for naught. I don't think so. Ugh. Whoosh. The great tornado had been killed by Gabriel. Her holy energy-infused spear had cut through the violent current of wind like butter and broke the technique. The backlash of having his technique disrupted caused the captain to be knocked backward. Naruto quickly overcame the pain induced by the holy energy and capitalized on the captain's current position. He sped forward, aided by chakra, and tackled the flying body. Instead of painfully landing on the floor, the captain flew over the edge of the ship and headed straight down towards the water, with Naruto falling alongside him. "You bastard. Do you have any idea what you've done? What should have been done to you long ago?" Naruto sent a burst of chakra through his legs and out into the air to speed them up and adjusted his hold on the captain to make sure he fell into the water headfirst. Splash. The two males penetrated the water's surface and dove quite a distance. After a while, Naruto let go and swam to the surface. Once there, he waited for the captain to come up, but the older Reed never did. He had drowned and his body was sinking to the bottom of the ocean. Yawn. Where am I? You're awake at last, Naruto. Gabriel. Naruto once more found himself waking up with his head in Gabriel's lap. The soft sensation of her thighs gave him a great amount of comfort and the way she was running her fingers through his hair put him at ease. The one and only. It pleases me to see you recovered and in good health. He looked towards her face, not that he could see it, and asked a question that was plaguing his mind. What happened? Pinch. Ow. Ow. Gabriel. You're pinching my cheek too hard. Ow. What happened, you ask? Well, for starters, you disobeyed my instructions to stay behind me at all times and sneaked into the ship where you fought a giant of a man and got heavily injured in the process. If that was not enough, you took that wind attack head on and then had the brilliant idea to jump into the ocean and hurt yourself even more. I did all that? Naruto asked in wonderment. From what Gabriel described, he was really reckless yet extremely badass at the same time. You do not remember? Nope. The last thing I remember is walking deeper into the ship. Everything after that is really fuzzy. Gabriel gained a contemplative look on her face. It only lasted for a few seconds before she shrugged it off and buried Naruto's face in her bosom. MFFF. The young Reed struggled to break free, but the sound of sniffling brought his efforts to a stop. I was frightened. When I saw you covered in blood with your body as bruised and battered as it was, my heart came up to my throat. You were so hurt, yet despite that, you kept pushing yourself and damaged your body further. It pained me just to see you like that. It was even more dreadful when I saw your wounds up close while healing you. He felt bad. Even though he didn't remember any of the things he'd seemingly done, he felt bad for making Gabriel sad enough to cry. Promise me you will not put yourself in danger like that again. You are my first and only friend, Naruto. I cannot bear the thought of losing you. I know this world is a dangerous place and sometimes fighting is unavoidable. But please, think of those who care about you before putting yourself at risk. Naruto stayed still for a little while before giving a small nod. Gabriel's mouth morphed into a small smile at the action and she tightened her hold on him. You do not know how happy that makes me. There is nothing more I want in this world than seeing you safe and sound. He would have felt touched by her words was it not for the guilt that was filling his heart. I'm sorry, Gabriel. I'm sorry for lying. I'll try my best to stay safe like you want me to, but if a time comes when you're in danger, I'll gladly put my body and life on the line to keep you safe. That's a promise of a lifetime. And even if, but do not despair. I will make sure to help you improve and get stronger, as the more powerful you are, the less likely you are to get hurt. What do you say? Naruto? Naruto? Oh no, you are not breathing. Did I miss something while healing you? Wake up, Naruto. Please open your eyes. Naruto, you sure about this? Certainly. These people have committed too many atrocities to be left alive. Their punishment shall be death by fire in this world and the eternal flames of purgatory in the hereafter. It just doesn't feel right, you know. I feel like there could be a better way. Such as? I don't really know. Like I said, it's a feeling. Naruto and Gabriel were standing on top of their ruined ship, watching the larger pirate ship burn. It had been Gabriel's idea of relieving it of anything that was of use and then destroying it with every pirate still on board. To prevent any of them from escaping, the two had confined them to the cells they used for prisoners. As there were no prisoners on board, Gabriel had no qualms about setting the whole ship on fire after liberating the notes and maps in the captain's room. Naruto had been curious about how they would set something huge on fire. He asked his friend if she knew any fire spells. She told him that angels could not use elemental spells like devils in as their bodies were designed to use only light. She did have quite a few techniques that had enough power to blow the ship up, but, as she put it, he'd die if she used any of them anywhere nearby. So what they did was empty all of the kegs of alcohol and let it spread throughout the ship. Then, Gabriel used a minuscule amount of holy energy. Naruto grit his teeth and silently bore the pain when she did so to heat the alcohol at one point to ignite it. After that, it was only a matter of time until the whole ship was on fire. While Naruto agreed that the pirates weren't good people and needed to be punished for what they did to people they captured, he felt uncomfortable with killing them. He felt he had a better punishment, but nothing came to mind, so he stopped dwelling on it and simply chose to watch the burning ship break apart. Now then, shall we be off? Gabriel asked her friend with a smile on her face. Seeing that, Naruto couldn't help but forget his own worries and smile back. Yeah. But, where are we going? Kyoto. What's that? It is the main territory of the Yaokai faction. The strange energy you utilize is chakra, yes. Yeah. I don't remember much from when I was fighting, but I do know what I use is called chakra. And the only beings I know of that utilize chakra are Yaokai. So if anyone can help you understand and learn to use your power, it will be them. Ooh. I'll train to master the hidden secrets of my mysterious power and become a badass. Why would you want to become a bad donkey? Gabriel asked with a tilt of her head. Naruto sometimes said things that greatly confused her, like right now. It means I'll become super cool. Really? Well, I for one think you are already really cool. Naruto felt his cheeks heat up at that. His friend giggled at that, causing him to blush more. Well, anyway, let's get going. Right. So how do we get there? Gabriel adopted a sheepish expression and rubbed the back of her head, a habit she picked up from her red-haired friend. I am not sure actually. I have only ever been to Kyoto once by teleporting to a nearby town and making my way there on foot. I do not know how to reach it from our current location. But worry not, I am sure that we will eventually find a way, all we have to do is take the first step and the Lord will guide us. Naruto was initially skeptical, but the earnestness in the angel's voice was such that he didn't see any point in doubting her. If Gabriel said they'd make it, then they certainly would. I know if you like guiding me, but we won't get anywhere if we don't start moving. I'm going on ahead. Naruto leaped from the ship and landed on the surface of the ocean. Ever since his fight on the pirate ship, he'd been able to walk on water with ease. Gabriel waited until Naruto was a suitable distance away before bringing out her wings and taking to the sky. She caught up to him but remained a few hundred meters above his position. This method of travel was devised by the Redeed. He figured that since he could run on water, Gabriel could fly above him to not affect him with her holy energy, and together the two could travel faster than they were able to on the ship. And with that, the unlikely pair of a devil and angel began their journey to the land of Yaokai, not aware of the chaos they would get caught up in along the way or the fact that it would be many years before they got anywhere near their destination. Two girls were walking through a forest. One of them was marching on with a burning determination, while the other was lazily trailing behind. You're so slow. Hurry up. You're moving too fast, Noir. The first girl, Noir, urged her companion to pick up the pace and received a slow, tired rebuttal in return. This irked her to no end. You're always like this, Plusha. You're the one who wanted to come along with me in the first place, so you can at least put some effort into it and not hold me back. I did really. Sorry. I'll move a bit faster so don't get mad at me. You better. And, for the record, I'm not really mad at you. I can never be mad at my friend. The last part was barely audible, but Plusha understood anyway. Yai. Noir isn't mad. She cheered in a slow manner. Humph. Don't misunderstand. I only said that to motivate you. I can still get mad if you aren't quick. She fired back, though her words lacked any heat, and her happy expression gave away her true feelings on the matter. Low T. Yuhi, what was that? Why did you stop? Come on, we're wasting time. But I heard something just now. Huh? We're the only people here and there are no monsters nearby. You must be hearing things. Look out, there it is again. You might have been right, Plusha. I heard it as well this time. Look out, look out. Where is the sound coming from? Noir. Not now, Plusha. I'm trying to focus. But not now. Look out. Look out. Oh. It's louder this time. It sounds like a girl. But I don't see anyone but us around. How strange. Noir. Look out. What is Begaya? Crash. Plusha saw a girl with purple hair and a black parka falling from the sky. She gauged that the girl would fall on her best friend Noir since she was so nice to fall on. She tried to warn her, but her friend wouldn't listen. Therefore, when the purple-haired girl fell on her, Noir too fell to the ground. When this happened, a purple notebook was knocked out of the girl's hand. Plusha heard an indignant cry before a dark vortex opened in front of her and began sucking her in. Plusha tried to get away from it, but the pull was too strong. The last thing she heard before getting sucked in was Noir calling out to her. The cool breeze ruffled her feathers. The bright sun reflected off the ocean and made it shine as she flew over it. Gabriel was basking in the peaceful atmosphere while flying above her friend Naruto. The blonde and Riti duo had been traveling in this manner for months now, and both have enjoyed it. For her, it presented an opportunity to soar through the skies without a care in the world. Never before in her long life had she enjoyed flying as she was now. For her friend, it was a chance to train. Using his inner energy, which he referred to as chakra, to traverse the water was a great way to build up stamina and increase the limit of how much chakra his body could handle. However, above all else, the two companions enjoyed traveling together and seeing new places. Naruto was born in the underworld, so the human realm was foreign to him. Exploring it was a very fun activity for the young devil. As for her, she had never paid close attention to the world of humans during her time in heaven. There was always something to do, so she was kept busy and never got around to witnessing the majesty of the mundane world. The natural wonders, the sun, the ocean, the stars at night, were beautiful. Proof of this was how so many pantheons dispute over them. Everyone wants exclusive control of such marvels. She saw Naruto doing a few flips and giggled at his enthusiasm. His happiness was infectious and continuously rubbed off her, so she was always in high spirits when with him. Her days were happy and peaceful. Her wish was for them to never end. A loud "Oea" and a painful impact on her back put an end to that painfully. Naruto heard a distant "Oea" before Gabriel's scream reached his ears. His head snapped upwards and he gaped at the sight of his friend hurtling towards the water. Panic overtook him and his mind was scrambling to think of what to do. Chakra surged into his legs, his knees buckled and he shot off to catch his falling friend. This was a bad idea. He had no way of maneuvering mid-air, so a head-first collision with the angel was inevitable. What's more, due to the angel's mass, him colliding into her would not hamper her path, but rather, it would put him beneath her. And this was all without taking the additional weight on her back. He also didn't take into account the holy energy she was using. What followed was a very painful collision which may have broken a bone or two, an intense burning pain throughout his body, and a mighty crash on the surface of the ocean. Suffice to say, if he wasn't knocked out by the initial collision, he sure as hell was after everything else. Wibba-wibba-boit. Ugh, are you awake, Naruto? How are you feeling? Not good. What happened? You got knocked out when you crashed into me and came in contact with holy energy. Crash energy. Ugh, it's coming back now. Naruto groaned as he got up from his favorite resting spot, Gabriel's lap. His body was aching all over and his thoughts were slowly regaining coherency. He looked around and saw that they were in some dreary place where there was no sunlight and greenery. Where are we? He asked his friend. I am not quite sure. When we fell into the ocean, I quickly grabbed hold of you and swam to the nearest piece of land I could see. This place gives me the creeps, Naruto said with a shudder. Gabriel mirrored his sentiment as she too did not look comfortable sitting next to a withered tree. Anyway, how did you fall? It was because of this young girl. Girl? Gabriel nodded and pointed to a spot behind nearby. There, resting peacefully was a young girl with long light purple hair in a braid. She was wearing a dress, which was a mix of teal, pink, white and orange, along with long socks of a similar color sans teal. On her feet were some sort of pink shoes which looked like a weird creature. It was a very vibrant and eye-catching look overall. Who's that? And what's up with her clothes? I do not know. She fell on top of me while I was flying. The momentary slip in concentration and her own weight made me tumble downwards. I see. I remember trying to catch you but crashed into you instead. Naruto was embarrassed at how things went. He was trying to help his friend, but not only did he fail at that, he made things worse for himself. Do not worry about it, Naruto. I did not feel any pain when you crashed into me, she said with a bright smile. Somehow that hurts me more than the crash, but thank you for trying. I appreciate the effort. It was nothing, he mumbled while trying to, and failing at, hide his embarrassment. Yawn. The two friends turned to look at the sleeping girl who was beginning to wake up. She rolled onto her side and hefted herself up into a sitting position. Then, she rubbed her eyes and opened them up for the angel and devil duo to see. The pair unfocused, light magenta eyes greeted the two of them. The girl looked at her surroundings with some confusion before giving her attention to the people before her. Good morning, she greeted slowly with a sleepy smile. Why yeah, Naruto said, slightly startled by the girl's greeting. Gabriel continued to stare at her, without even bothering to hide her fascination. Nothing more was said, and all three people continued to look at each other. The name's Naruto and this is Gabriel. What's your name? The young retard said in order to break the silence. My name is Plusha, good to meet you. Why are you speaking so slowly? Gabriel finally spoke up. Hey, I don't talk slowly, but Noir says I do. Speaking of which, where is she? I can't see her. Noir? Who's that? She's my friend. We were walking in a forest and someone crashed into her. I do not know about this Noir person or forest, but you fell on top of me while I was flying over the ocean. Are you sure your memory is okay? Gabriel asked with a hint of worry. You can fly, wow, Plusha exclaimed with a wondrous expression. Well, it is something I have been able to since birth, Gabriel said embarrassedly. I also want to fly, then I won't get tired when Noir takes me to the forest. Where do you come from, Plusha? You keep mentioning a forest, but there was not a single tree nearby when I found you. Plusha looked around and said, there are trees here. Well yes, I brought us to this island when we fell into the ocean. Island Planeptune isn't an island. Planeptune? Is that where you're from? Well, sorry to say, this place ain't Planeptune I think. Is it? I'm not in Planeptune. You noticed that just now, Naruto shot out. He was bewildered by how slow Plusha was on the uptake. Plusha, can you please tell us what you did for the whole day? Maybe that will tell us how you arrived here, Gabriel urged. She was beginning to tire of the painfully slow conversation and wanted to know how the girl fell through the sky. It would perhaps give her a clue as to where she came from and how to send her back. Well, Histoire woke me up in the morning and told me to work, but Noir came by and told me she was going to the forest. I wanted to go with her. PSST. Gabriel. She's so slow. I did not expect this, to be honest. So I went with her to the forest where she was looking for something. I was tired and wanted to go to sleep, but Noir didn't let me, and then I heard a sound. I'm becoming sleepy. Please bear with it. Noir didn't believe me. After I heard it again she believed me, and then I saw a person falling from the sky. She had purple hair and was wearing a black jersey. Zzzzzzz. Yawn. I tried to tell Noir, but she didn't listen. The person fell on her. After that a purple notebook fell out of her hand, and then a portal opened, and then I got sucked into it. Zzzzzzz. Must stay awake. Must stay awake. And then I remember then I was falling down and fell asleep, and then I woke up and met the two of you, and that is enough, Plusha. We have heard everything we need, Gabriel said with a tired expression. The other girl's slow way of talking had dragged that explanation on for so long that she was feeling extremely drowsy. Naruto had fallen asleep halfway through it. His head was resting on her shoulder. Plusha's case was very similar to Naruto's. While the cause may be different, the method through which they arrived at the human world is the same. Is it nap time then? I'll go to sleep too. Wait. Pinen. Zzzzzzz. What shall I do now? Gabriel moaned. Really, Plusha, you gotta work on talking faster. I fell asleep, you know. Sorry, I'll try better next time. Yep, you do that. The devil angel pair and their airy guest were walking through the dead woods. It had been a few hours since Naruto and Plusha woke up from their slumbers. Gabriel had berated the two, her redeemed friend in particular, for falling asleep and leaving her to watch over them alone in the creepy place they were in. After some apologies and promises to never do so again, the group of three set out to forage for some food. It had been a long day and all of them were feeling peckish. There was a problem, however. The land they were on was unnaturally devoid of sunlight. The vegetation had died long ago, and there was no sign of life anywhere. But man, this place sucks. How'd we even end up here? I am not quite sure. With your body having been exposed to so much holy energy, I only sought out a piece of land to lay you down on and purge it. I did not even notice the state of this place until I was done. Whoa, it must have been really bad if you were like that during your serious mode. Serious mode? Yeah. Gabriel gets really, and I mean really, serious during tough situations. It's pretty cool. Wow, amazing. Please, I am not cool as you put it, Naruto, Gabriel said, embarrassed by her friend's assessment of her. You're selling yourself short, Gabriel. You're so cool when you get like that. Surrender now, or forfeit your lives. Or, you are too weak. I do not even need to lift a finger to end your existence. Like that. Ooh, Gabriel's so cool. I do not say that. You are teasing me, are you not? You are teasing me, right? Nah. I'm telling the truth. Gabriel's really strong and cool. Gabriel's the strongest. See? Plusha gets it. You too, the angel lamented. Although, she did have a small smile playing across her face. So, Plusha. You mentioned you friend Noir before. What's she like? Noir? Well, she's really kind and fun to tease. Tease? She looks so cute when I tease her, and her voice gets squeaky as well, so it's really fun. I see. Naruto gave a nervous laugh. What Plusha just said set off alarm bells in his head. It was slightly chilling. Stop. Gabriel called out. What's wrong? Over there. Naruto looked to where she was pointing and blanched. In a desolate clearing, there sat a large serpentine body with leathery wings, which spanned out farther than his height. Rough gray scales adorned the body, and there was a cluster of spikes on the tip of the tail. The large head with jagged horns was on the other end. It had long, sharp fangs and yellow reptilian eyes glaring in their direction. Naruto gulped and instinctively took a step back. He had read about the creature before him many years ago and knew how dangerous it was. The stories Gabriel told him made them even more deadly in his eyes. A dragon. He was looking at a goddamn dragon. Shit. Gabriel. What do we do? He frantically whispered to Heaven's former second in command. You must take Plusha and head back. I shall take care of it. The air around the angel had changed. Her eyes were boring into the dragon's own and her expression was deadly serious. Alone? Will you be fine? Dragons are really strong, you know. It is, Naruto. This dragon is mere insect compared to some of the ones I have faced before. I shall need to utilize my angelic abilities to combat it, which are detrimental to your health. Alright. Come on, Plusha. We're going back. But what about Gabriel? Gabriel's super strong. She can beat that dragon with her eyes closed and her arms tied behind her back. We'll only be in her way by staying here, Naruto answered her, with the last part being barely audible. Okay. With one last glance at Gabriel's back, Naruto turned around and began making his way back with Plusha walking beside him. Before they could get far, however, a fireball shot past them and set the path ablaze. Wow. Where do you think you're going? The dragon's loud, masculine voice caught the Redeed by surprise and caused him to stumble, something no one could blame him for. The creature's powerful voice reverberated throughout the clearing and made it quake ever so slightly. Plusha mumbled while rubbing her ears. Are you both alright? Gabriel asked. Yeah, Naruto replied, ignoring the ringing in his head. Did you think you could trespass on my territory and get away? This guy's a real pain. He is rather unpleasant. The situation has deteriorated. With Plusha and yourself trapped here, I cannot freely use my powers to deal with him. What should we do then? For now, I shall go up to him and divert his attention away from you and Plusha. The two of you must use that window of time to find a way out of here. Got it? And, Gabriel. What is it? Stay safe. The two friends held the other's gaze for some time. It ended when Gabriel smiled and said, do not worry. No matter what opponent I face, I will not lose. We promised to see the whole world together and I intend to keep it. She then took off to face the scaled beast and for a split second, Naruto saw her hair as not straight and blonde, but spiky and white.